great. I think that even though, in years past and even in this season, the Broncos have been super dominant, it's anyone's game.
Oh, you reckon anyone's?
Absolutely.
Would Broncos be favourites still?
I think they would definitely still be favourites. And I would be really surprised if they didn't end up in the grand final. But I just think that anything can happen. The skill set, as we've kind of harped on about all season, is so high. And it's really exciting. So I'm hoping that we're going to get some big crowds out at Leichhardt for those games. And then, grand final the following weekend.
And hopefully we can... Why don't we try get an NRLW player on ahead of that grand final?
Yeah, let's do that. Manifest it.
Done. Just like we manifested Buddies 1000.
Yeah.
All right, you've been listening to Sport and Spice. You can catch up at the Best of ABC Sport podcast. We will see you next week.
Bye.
ABC News. Good evening, I'm Susie Rains. There have been tributes for the victims of the fatal helicopter crash at Mount Disappointment yesterday morning. Isabella Tolhurst reports.
The family of 32-year-old pilot Dean Neal have described him as someone who lived life to the fullest. His father, Rodney Neal, says the family have been left heartbroken.
We are inexplicably shocked and distressed by the loss of our son and brother, Dean.
73-year-old chairman of Radford Meats, Paul Trozier, was a passenger on the fatal flight. He has been remembered by the Australian Meat Industry Council as a well-respected leader who had a large influence on the industry across his 40-year career. Also killed in the crash was a 50-year-old woman from Inverloch and 2 men from New South Wales, all of whom were on a business trip at the time.
Investigations are set to continue at the scene of the crash at Mount Disappointment, north of Melbourne. Sarah Jane Bell reports.
The search operation and investigation into what's been described as one of Victoria's worst aviation crashes continues in dense bushland near Blair's Hut at Mount Disappointment. Police and SES have been working to clear a path to the site of the crash since it was found around midday yesterday. This afternoon, aviation experts from the Australian Transport Safety Bureau arrived at the scene and will survey the area with the use of a drone. Over the coming days, they'll retrieve parts of the wreck for further examination and search for any recording devices that may have been on board.
A fuel depot in the Russian border city of Belgorod has reportedly been attacked by the Ukrainian military. Steph Tiller has the latest.
Local authorities say 2 Ukrainian military helicopters flew across the border into the Russian city where they struck the fuel storage facility. 2 workers were reportedly injured in the attack, while some areas of the city were evacuated. Ukrainian officials have not claimed responsibility for the attack, but if confirmed, it would be the first airstrike on Russian soil since the invasion began. It comes as Moscow redeploys its forces to the southeast of the country after suffering losses at the hands of the Ukrainian military near the capital, Kyiv. A fresh round of peace talks is set to get underway in the coming hours.
The head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, is expected to urge China's President Xi Jinping not to provide weapons to Russia in a virtual summit later today. The BBC's Nick Beake reports.
Western officials now believe Moscow has asked Beijing for military assistance and other help to cushion the blow of sanctions. EU sources say President von der Leyen will urge President Xi to reject such Russian requests and instead use China's might to bring the fighting to an end. Brussels officials are not expecting any significant agreement from today's virtual talks, but hope China will consider dissuading Mr. Putin from using weapons of mass destruction as his war grinds on.
Police in Sri Lanka say more than 50 people have been arrested following violent street protests in the capital, Colombo. Officers fired tear gas at the demonstrators who were protesting dire food, fuel and power shortages. Sri Lanka is in the midst of a foreign exchange crisis that's crippled its economy. A motorcyclist has died after colliding with a car in Preston this afternoon. The accident happened on Bell Street around 3:45. The rider died at the scene and is yet to be formally identified. Police are investigating and are calling for witnesses and people with dash cam footage to come forward. And a female pedestrian in her 40s is in a critical condition after being struck by a truck in Gisborne, northwest of Melbourne, around 5 o'clock this afternoon. The collision occurred at the intersection of Hamilton and Aitken Streets. The woman has been airlifted to hospital, having sustained life-threatening injuries. In sport, Melbourne will be without key forward Ben Brown for tonight's game against Essendon at the MCG. Brown is a late admission due to COVID protocols. He'll be replaced by fringe player Sam Wiedemann. To the weather now. For the state tomorrow, cool and mostly cloudy with isolated showers in the southeast, extending across central and eastern parts during the morning, showers becoming scattered over Gippsland during the day and tending to areas of rain across East Gippsland. Possible heavy falls developing over East Gippsland, mild, dry and partly cloudy in the north and west, moderate to fresh southeasterly winds, strong about eastern elevated parts during the morning and early afternoon. For Melbourne tomorrow, a shower or two with a top of 19 and more showers on Sunday with a top of 18. Right now in the city, it's 17 degrees. ABC News.
Hi, I'm Sam Hawley, host of the new podcast ABC News Daily. This is the show that will help you understand the issues affecting your world. Every weekday morning, you'll get one big story from the news source you trust, told by the journalists you know best, in under 15 minutes. Find ABC News Daily on the Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
For the red and blue true believers, they've climbed out of purgatory. For Melbourne tonight, there is a brand new flag.
After 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
The Demons are premiers.
Let's go. You don't want to miss this.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Check this out. Now we're in business. Won't believe what you're about to witness.
Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Bailey Smith, be the hero.
So much to see, so much to love.
40 out. What a superstar. That is a moment of inspiration. He loves this day. He loves this stage.
You better know it's the greatest show.
AFL.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Superb finish. The impossible angle. Sensational goal. And that's what brings fans through the gate.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Pulls the trigger on goal and goes boom.
To the right forward pocket.
Pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't seen nothing like
this. Here we go. We've got a game now. We are on.
You want your very best players having the ball in the moments that matter.
With the talk from 55. Hello. That is the cream on the cake. That is brilliant.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
Straight in front, 50 out, whacks it straight through. The captain delivers in the big moment. You are kidding me. Oh, he's a superstar. Sets his sights on goal. Jay Hamilton leaps into the night sky and drags in the mark. How much do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want this? We're gonna be kidding.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Turns and snaps. What a way to finish.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
In somewhat of a throwback, it's a Friday night doubleheader, round 3 in South Australia, the showdown between Adelaide and Port. Meanwhile, here at the MCG, it is Essendon taking on the defending premiers. Melbourne on a 9-game winning streak, including last year's flag, while two of the hottest contenders to them have stumbled out of the gates, with Port Adelaide and the Bulldogs winless through the opening 2 rounds. Meanwhile, there was a lot of optimism around Essendon leading in, but they're staring down their worst start to a season since 1967, and they lose Zach Merritt, the All-Australian, who is one of 7 first-choice Bombers unavailable. Their early season form, they appear to be dovetailing. Can the Bombers do something to change the trend tonight? Welcome to Grandstand AFL's coverage of Friday night footy at the MCG. An earlier start, we're about 15 minutes away from the bounce between the Bombers and the D's. There's no late change here. Toby Bedford's the sub for Melbourne and Devon Smith for Essendon. The Bombers team, which lost to Brisbane, made 3 changes at selection. Phillips, Shield and Martin all come in for Francis, who's been omitted. Cox and Merritt both injured. While for Melbourne, Sam Wiedemann takes Ben Brown's place. Ben Brown withdrawn earlier today with entering health and safety protocols. So as a result, he's out of the Melbourne team. My name's Corbin Middlemass, calling the footy alongside Kelly Underwood. As we do every Friday night, our experts Cameron Ling, Mick Moldhouse and Tim Hodges on the boundary. Good evening, Kel.
Evening, Corbin. Terrific to be here. I tell you what, my phone was beeping a little bit today. I had some texts from Essendon fans and just saying, remember the headline at the Herald Sun was the 27th of February. Byline was a very familiar name, probably a name that's sitting in the box at the moment. That headline was screaming at me, why Essendon will win the flag. And they were texting today saying, what have you done, Mick Moldhouse, to all us Bombers fans? So I know we don't take talkback callers. That's probably a good thing, Mick, but we do have an SMS line. So, Corby, you can give that number in a sec. But the last team to win the flag 0-3 was North Melbourne in 1975. The last team to make the grand final 0-3 is North Melbourne in 1976. But you've got one little stat for you, Mick, that you can hold on to. One saving grace. Put this in your back pocket this evening. Essendon winless in 1993 after 3 rounds. They had 2 losses and 1 draw. Not winless, rather. Two wins, 1 draw at 1993. So you never know. But I should also state, you did tip Port to miss the 8.
I did.
You're staring at me like you're angry with me and I'm suddenly scared.
No,
don't be nervous, Cal.
I'm nervous.
No, don't. I've got some good stats here. These are the only
He's
stats.
come prepared.
No, these are the only 2 stats that really will bother these 2 teams. Their lowest scores ever were 1899 Lingy, 9 points and 2 points respectively against the great Fitzroy at Brunswick Oval. So it's 1899. So we're talking about 130 years ago. I don't know why I've said that, because to distract from the fact that I tipped Essendon to win the premiership. So I hope that they don't break that record.
If you were Ben Rutten, so I want to get you to try and just put yourself in that position, and the Bombers haven't won a final for 6,418 days, as the Twitter account tells us every single day. What would Mick, the coach, say to Mick, the columnist, if you've come out and tipped the Bombers to come from where they did last year to go all the way and win the flag?
Well, I based it on a couple of things, because sides don't necessarily have to be even in the 8 the next year. Well, Melbourne did it from 9th position. Bulldogs did it. Richmond have done it. This is all recent. I looked at the side last year and I valued Lee's input, but I didn't get it until after I'd already tipped Essendon. And he doesn't like Essendon. What I liked about him is that that they had pace, youth, and I thought they would get better from last year. One of the 2 things that have been outstanding so far, outstanding or standing out, is their lack of toughness at the footy. And I really mean that. That's really not what Essendon were about late last year. And they're not moving the ball with speed. In fact, the real speed that they're moving it with is lateral. And you can't win games of football moving the ball quickly lateral unless you are prepared to actually go and get the ball inside front 50. Admittedly, String has been part of it, and also, well, he was last week, but first week, but they also, they can't just rely on 2-metre Peter taking every mark.
Just very quickly, I should back up Mick there, because you're saying, just even to finish in the 8 and make that jump. Swans, of course, in 2017 was 0-6 and made the 8. And last year the Giants were 0-3 and made the 8 and won a final. So I'm just sort of buttering up now.
Of course you are.
I hit him with a hammer early on.
Good evening to everyone out there. Now, while we're clarifying things with Mick's statement, I don't like the Bombers, that's not exactly true.
The SMS messages are going to come through for you as well.
What is true, though, I reckon, Mick, we've seen is a little pattern starting to form with teams that go on and have the ultimate success. I was part of one of those teams, 04-05. Young, talented, made some finals, got a bit of a run, bit of excitement, really struggled with the weight of expectations. 06, horror year, launched again, the success came. The team who playing Bombers tonight, the Melbourne Demons, beautiful couple of years, they were going well, made a prelim final, disappeared for 2 years, struggled with expectation, then the success comes. Richmond did it. They made finals. Carlton knocked them off. Were you coaching that team? You were, weren't you?
I certainly was.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I just had doubt in my head and then of the dates. And then they struggled with expectation. then they got their success. I think that's what Essendon is. Coming into this year, I thought the weight of expectation, especially being a big club, of the excitement of last year,
might get them.
And I think early on in the season, it's got them. Watching that round one game against Essendon, you had a bunch of midfielders ran around and got so much of the footy it wasn't funny, but doing absolutely zero with it.
Well, Lynn, can I just come in there just 1 second on what you just said? If I can just quote another figure. When I look at clearances, we automatically go, well, if Parrish doesn't get it, Merritt will. Well, no, Merritt does not even feature in the first 6 players for Essendon in their clearances. So that tells you tells us what you've been just saying then. You've got to get your hands dirty, and you can't just Stringer now. Oh, he's back, so therefore we can be a bit tough in the middle. No, you can't pick and choose, and you can't. And that's what we saw last night with the Dogs, and we can go through a bit later. But it's fantastic.
And Mick, as you know, that's the individual expectation.
Yeah.
That's them coming into the season going, oh, I have to get it 35 times now to have played a good game. And they're smart enough to work out a way of getting it 35 times where they do absolutely nothing. Corbs, I've got one saving grace, though, for Essendon fans out there.
Yes.
Nick Martin is back for the Bombers. Didn't play last week. See if he can back up his 5 goals and 27 touches in round 1. So don't worry, Essendon fans.
Yep.
The man is back.
He played like Dustin Martin that day, absolutely. Just one on Essendon too. To start last year, they really built their brand first year under Ben Rutten as a team that got their hands dirty. And in the first 7 weeks, 5 times they had 69 or more tackles. That's a lot of tackles. They've had 72 tackles in the first 2 rounds combined. And that is a number really.
It's a damning number. It's a damning number.
But that comes back to what you value. As an individual player, how I rate, have I played a good game? Last year, that's how they rated it. This year, it's possessions and getting nice, pretty numbers. It's a big shift, but it's a really important shift.
One that is right in the wheelhouse of both of you as the former coach and, of course, one of the premier taggers to have ever done it. The whole conversation during the week about what does Ben Rutten do when the other player, the premier player in the other team gets off the chain. So we saw Lachie Neale with 41 touches last week, Dangerfield with a game-changing 31 in round 1. Tonight there's a guy named Christian Petrarca cruising around along with Clayton Oliver for Melbourne. How do you approach it?
Well, I know how I'd approach it, and this is the way I've coached basically for 30-odd years. Not every game, but you've got to give, when you look at your opposition, you weigh it up in how they play for a start-off, who are their most important players, what do they do when you're 2 in front, what do they do when they're 2 behind, who do they go to, what's their leader like. So you cut the head off the leader for your start-off. So therefore, in Gawn's case, Draper has to be very competitive. Okay, we look at Petrarca and we look at Oliver. Who feeds who? I think Oliver feeds a fair bit out, but Petrarca is one that can break through lines. Have I got a player that can take Parrish, or have I got a player that can take Petrarca? Oliver. So which one do I take? Whoever's my best one I've got in my team must take one of those players. You can't invent them, Kel.
Right.
So Drew Banfield would take Petrarca. I don't know.
So it depends on the capabilities of the player that you have as your run-with player.
Lucuria could take most. Cameron Lynn could take most. But if you're a side like Essendon, you might find that you've only got a player that can take maybe a semi-outside player. Maybe you can take an inside player. But not many sides these days have got the combination that can take a Ling, Lucuria, Banfield type player and go, I can play on anyone.
If you're Ben Rutten, does Essendon have a player to go to one of them tonight?
Well, you've got to invent one if there's not one there.
And there's not one there.
Not with a lot of confidence. And what I would say too, Cal, is I think they've left it 2 weeks too late. I only really strongly advocate in the modern system of midfield play if one midfield player is so vital to the entire operation of the team. Now, Patrick Dangerfield is one of those, and Lachie Neale is absolutely one of those. Melbourne, they've got Gawn who can influence it, Petrarca, Oliver, Viney, Harms can come in there. They've got so many options that locking one of those away, while still an absolute star, won't necessarily have it make a seismic shift in the way that Melbourne plays. They should have done it last week. That was a massive oversight.
We've got a final thought from both Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling coming up. The early starts. How about this? 7:20 bounce. We're just a minute and a half away. Essendon and Melbourne, the first leg of the doubleheader. Friday night footy in round 3. Tim Hodges is with us, front row of the grandstand. Good evening, Hodgie.
G'day, Corbin. G'day, guys. Nice to be with you. Essendon won the toss. Dyson Heppel. The Bombers will kick to the city end. Very minimal wind down at ground level. It is unbelievably cold. It's been raining in the past hour. A bit more rain forecast on the way. It still says on my phone it's 17 degrees. It feels like about 12. It's really cold. Feels like winter down here. The ground is in amazing condition, especially in the middle. I think there was a degree of concern on Wednesday night at the sheer size of the stage for the Shane Warne Memorial. You wouldn't know it was here 48 hours on, so credit to the ground staff. The afternoon change with Ben Brown out of this game. COVID in the family. He's out with health and safety protocols. Sam Wiedemann comes in. No late changes. The medical subs for the Demons. Toby Bedford for the Bombers. Devon Smith. The crowd was forecast to be 60,000 tonight. I think there's about 25,000 still to make their way into the ground. The early start has caught plenty out, so I reckon only probably 35,000 in at the moment, but it is continuing to build.
Thanks, Hodgie. Tex Wanganeen to make his run-on debut. He's going to start in the goal square, the son of Gavin, after being the unused Medi-sub last week. So all of a sudden it's tense for Essendon, two of last year's finalists, the Premiers up against the Bombers. Here's Kelly Underwood on Grandstand AFL.
And it's Sam Draper in his 24th AFL game up against the 5-time All-Australian ruckman in Gawn. There's been a hold off the ball. Oliver receives it. He's got the first kick and he goes straight down the line. Mark wasn't paid. Yes, it was to Stewart playing in front of Tom McDonald.
Can I just say, Andrew McGrath is already going to Oliver at stoppages. We'll just see how far that goes to.
So Stewart brings it out the broadcast side or the northern side, and he's kicked straight to the player in the opposition, number 17, who's had a real hot boot lately, the Rising Star nominee this week, Jake Bowie. Bowie sends it back to a contest. It's thumped away. Kelly with a quick handball. Ridley involved. Stringer just toe pokes it off the ground. Kicks it about 30 metres. Only goes as far as Tomlinson. He's dragged to the ground. And the umpire blows his whistle and says it'll be a boundary throw-in. About 60 metres around from the Melbourne goal. They're going to the punt road, Lingy.
Sorry about that, Cal. I reckon McGrath's now going to try and get to Petrarca, Mick. And I like that. Build some form, build some quality midfield ball rather than just trying to get the loose stuff.
Gawn gets rid of Draper, tumbles a kick to centre half forward. Redmond had it, lost it. Now Viney spun around in the tackle. Ball spits out to Nick Martin. Hand pass to Parrish, tackled as he kicked. He was tackled late and high by Spargo, so a free kick coming back to Parrish at centre half back for the Bombers.
You're just doing that about McGrath. He definitely took Oliver at the centre bounce, but then he's drifted on to Petrarca, and he's staying with him even now.
Ridley marks the Parrish kick and hits up Wanganeen, who marks on the members wing in jumper number 40 for the Bombers. Heads down to half forward, right traps the 40, floats a kick to centre half forward, and Caldwell comes flying through to mark. 45 out, centre half forward for the Dons, and they'll have the first look at the sticks here 2 minutes in.
They're just hoping with this bloke that he gets a good run without any soft tissue injuries. In his underage career, he had a few issues, and then obviously when he got to the Giants and the Bombers, has already had a number of injuries. If he can get a good run at it, he's a real quality user of the footy as a midfielder, as a different type of player to that Bombers midfield.
Jai Caldwell crosses the 50-metre arc. He's dropped, punt, sails goalward. It's out to the left. It stays there or behind. First score of the game, but behind for the Bombers. I did say I'd get a final word. Is anyone tipping the upset, Mick or Lingy?
No.
If you stop now, we would. But no, I still think the D's are probably too much for...
You're on early, Mick. We've had got a few little jabs and you're ducking and weaving.
I think Kel stirred him up a bit, Corbs. It's good.
I'm just hiding in the corner down here in the front row. So the D's work it by foot out of defence, and then the long kick from McDonald to centre wing. It's spoiled away by the ruckman in Draper, right near the boundary line. And James Jordan can't keep it in play. He's tackled over the boundary line right in front of Tim Hodges. Hodgie.
Hey, Kel, just an observation on Christian Petrarca. He quite often plays with strapping on that left knee. He had it restrapped in the warm-up. I've never seen that much strapping on that left knee of the Demon superstar.
Great observation. I thought that in the warm-up as well. And here he is on cue with that heavy strapping on the left knee. He's gone with the right boot and kicked right to the 50. Stewart able to beat McDonald again and tries to dribble the kick and really only wins about 10 metres before it'll be another boundary throw-in. This time just about in front of the Demons bench. Heavy cloud above. And it's just a beautiful shade of pink trying to peek through these heavy grey clouds. We had a light shower before the start of the game. Boundary throw-in picked up by Jordan, charged in front. Neil Bullen had front position, good spoil from behind. And now Caldwell is tackled by Petrarca over the boundary line. He bounces up full of energy, does Petrarca. Spargo comes in and so does Pickett with a couple of high fives.
I've got an idea here. If you're going to go to Petrarca at stoppages, don't let Clayton Oliver just do whatever he wants. He was free at the last one, and now he's just going to drift through this one. You're not going to get it, but pay some attention to the man.
Gawn wins the hit out, outskirts of the stoppage. Perkins picks it up. He's ducked in the tackle by Bowie. Oliver races away with a footy, kicks it goalward, kicks it over the head of Fritsch, but he's offline. Behind, so one score each, both with a behind, the Bombers and the D's. No late change, 4 minutes in. The two subs, Toby Bedford for Melbourne and Devon Smith for the Dons.
Well, that's Cordwell there, who's walked away from Oliver a couple of times, Lingy. So he's just a young player learning the code.
So a couple of kicks and the target was Ham on the outer side. Now at ground level, good second effort, little toe poke. It's been stolen by Neil Bullen. Fritsch is involved. That's a clever tap. He gets it to Langford, throws it on the boot. Player in front, taking the mark. Here's Wiedemann. The late inclusion for Ben Brown. Getting his first chance, his first crack at AFL this season, and he's come in for his 50th game of AFL footy. And what a story would unfold here if he can bag a bag tonight. What would it mean for Ben Brown and selection next week? He had his early chances in the season last year, and then they went with Ben Brown, who became a premiership key forward on approach down the punt road end, 45-degree angle. And it was a nervy set shot. He just sees it right across the face and through for a behind.
Yeah, he does have a habit of missing the ones he should get, and I think that's the difference between him and Brown being in the side.
Heppel from the kick out, long to half-back. May goes up and takes the mark. Durham knocks it out of his hands. As he comes down, the umpire says that mark will be paid. And Stephen May can pump it back inside 50 for the D's. He just lays it up to the hot spot. A leap pattern again from Wiedemann. He'll get another look at it. Takes the mark in front of the pack, and he'll shoot it left half forward from 25 out.
Really great signs in the air from Wiedemann. But, Mick, you're right. When you're trying to rip a place in the team off someone else, you've got to nail every single little opportunity. You've got to put up a 4 or 5 goal game and then a 4 or 5 goal game again the following week, and those strong grabs week after week to just take that spot and make it your own. There's an important kick for him.
His second set shot in the first 5 minutes. Sam Wiedemann for the first of the game. He's got it. Wiedemann on his return to the team kicks the opener. And Melbourne are 1-2-8. Essendon 1 behind. 7 minutes in on Grandstand AFL. Cameron Ling and Mick Moldhouse.
I reckon it's Ridley on him too.
Yep,
Lingy.
it is.
And that Ridley to me is one of the best backline players going around. And that, again, based on premiership predictions, I thought that backline could grow even further. It hasn't got the massive talls, but it's got players that can play on a variety of players, variety of whether they tall or medium, and different sorts of clubs. So, but right now, that's a disappointing result. Although who's gone back onto it now? They've changed it up a little bit.
He's come to the bench. That was the warm applause. So high fives, pats on the back, ruffled the hair for Wiedemann. Choco Williams reached over and gave him a big slap on the shoulder. He could have gone to Collingwood in the off-season. He said, no, I'm going to stay here and do the hard yards. Missed selection in the first 2 rounds, and now he's got his opportunity. Back underway in the centre, and it's the Bombers winning it out of the centre with a driving kick that's been chopped off by Tomlinson. So Tomlinson, inside 50 now, counts 7-2. His high kick, another intercept, and it's Caldwell. Caldwell goes short and backwards to Heppel, right in front of the interchange gates. Barely goes the required distance. Oh, the umpire paid the mark and then said 50. So taking the mark was Laverty.
Tom McDonald there gave it away. He thought it was under the required distance. I think we all might have thought the same thing, and he just chose to tackle straight away. Claims that he heard something from the umpire, but unlucky.
He's a former forward here, Lingy, so I know you always say forward should kick goals, but he is used to being inside the front 50.
He's got 50% accuracy, Mick. 37-37 in his 72nd AFL game. He'll kick from just inside 50, and he's pushed that across the face.
That's why he got thrown down back, Mick.
Well, that's both forwards that have missed those shots. Both shots have been too close to the man on the mark and have no arc in their kick. It's almost like they're kicking over their right leg. And they haven't allowed either of them.
D's by 6 points.
Tomlinson from the back pocket goes long to the wing. There's a free kick for a hold, and Tom McDonald will get a kick here. After giving one away, he kicks down to half forward. Jackson, wrong foot. Stewart takes the mark at half forward. What a game he had up on the glitter strip last Saturday night. Hand pass to Rivers. Kicks into the pocket for Melbourne. The spoil comes from Heppel. Finds the boundary line and a throw-in. It is a Melbourne home game, so the D's in the navy blue. Essendon in the white shorts, a predominantly red jumper. They've just got a black outline signifying where that red sash has been for every one of the Bombers' 150 years.
So deep in the attacking 50 at Punt Road end here for the Demons. Stripped of it was Neil Bullen holding the ball, play on advantage. The umpire says no. He did say it and then he changed his mind because Cutler stopped dead in his tracks. So back to Heppel, who wins the free, just at the top of the defensive goal square.
How stiff are you when you look at Jackson comes on the ball and Gawn goes in the forward pocket and does the ruck work?
They were clearly concerned about that by bringing Phillips in, needing to partner up with Draper.
So to Laverty by foot and then to Ridley by foot. Now the long drive to the wing. That big sit and fly. In there was Jackson. Look at him doing the groundwork, if you don't mind. Is he a ruck or is he a midfielder? Comes out of the back of the pack to Sparrow. Turns around and kicks to two Essendon players, spoiling each other. It was Ridley in front who swatted it down when he should have left it for his teammate. Now a big ball to be won at centre half forward here for the D's. A couple of tackles applied and the umpire blows his whistle and says, we'll ball it up. Luke Jackson, he has told the D's, let's put contract talks on hold until later in the season. He's just upping the money minute by minute, Lingy.
Just zero after zero getting added onto his one.
Phillips wins the hit out and the clearance, kicks to the southern wing, out in front of Langdon. He just paddles it back into dispute, down towards Cutler, who's then locked up by Langdon. Will have a ball up on the southern wing. Of course, that great southern stand renamed back on Wednesday night, the Shane Warne stand. As Jackson wins the hit out, Pack forms at his feet. Sparrow is locked up. We'll have a ball up out on the southern wing. It's Melbourne 1-2, Essendon 2 behind, 11 minutes in.
So flicked up in the air. Oliver doing his best work, fires out a handball, Brayshaw into space, a look away handball. He gives it to Rivers, who gives it to Langdon, who can run along the wing on the outer side and drives towards Gawn. It goes over his head. There's a free. It's going to come back. And it's a free kick going to Gawn. So he got into his back and just almost shoved him under the ball, didn't he? It was Laverty and Gawn and an in-the-back call. Gawn's just going to poke it into the pocket. And who's there? Petrarca.
Ooh, this is bad signs for the Bombers.
The unstoppable Christian Petrarca with a sneaky little lead in the right forward pocket. Got separation from his opponent and cradled it to his chest. And well within range on a slightish angle from 35-40 metres out. It should be easy pickings for the Norm Smith medal star.
They are very worried about their size down there. The Bombers are so reactive. No one chose to help out on Petrarca then.
So the first goal of the night from the boot of Wiedemann. Here's Petrarca. The Melbourne cheer squad will tell us the story. And they did. It wasn't a goal, it was another miss and another early let-off here. The Demons now 139, Essendon 2 behind.
And the other big worry is Dylan Shield hasn't touched the footy. Andy McGrath trying to do a job on Petrarca hasn't touched the footy. So that's two of your key midfield movers who've got nowhere near it, having no influence at all.
Ridley out to half-back to Kelly, who kicks down the wing, wanted Shield. The kick favoured Rivers, and they both end up out of play.
It's 10-3 inside 50s, Melbourne favour too. That's just telling you a heck of a lot about this game already.
This will be Draper and Gawn. We mentioned the two rucks. Just the second time Draper's had a Phillips for support. They've only played together now, or once previously. That was against Port Adelaide back in 2020. So the two pair up tonight as Melbourne win it at the stoppage through Bowie. His hand pass to Langdon and subsequent kick is out on the full. The Bombers will get possession back.
So even against Gold Coast last week, Gold Coast midfield tried to get the footy. Did everything they could to be proactive. At the moment, we're just not seeing enough of that.
Andy McGrath runs past Jackson on the mark, kicks down to half forward. Gawn's down there, Draper's up, hands to it, no mark. Spills to May of the Demons, hand pass to Joel Smith, his kick smothered. Ricochets underneath Bowie, who's locked up immediately by Wanganeen, and the umpire says ball up, left half forward for the Bombers, 5 in from the southern boundary line.
Just getting the giant screen replay of Tex Wanganeen calling for ball. He looks like he's about 13-year-old out there. Here go the Bombers. The kick to the top of the goal square. May keeps his feet. And they're able to just juggle that over the line. Tomlinson making sure of it as he walks the Sherrin over the line. May with the kicking duties isn't wasting any time. Little bounce to himself, and then it was a low kick. Couldn't take a mark. Here's a chance, although the fumble from the Demons. Picking it up is Neil Bullen. Just stabs that kick over the head. It went of Jackson. Now the ball to be won. Petrarca goes without it. Jackson head over the ball. Can he flick it out? He tries to. Sparrow can't control it. Oliver, he's tackled. Somehow he gets a handball over the back of his head to centre half forward. They're moving it slowly forward here, the Demons. And Fritsch might be rewarded. He's jumped on the back of his opponent, and it was Durham with a very interesting looking mullet. Durham dragged it back in at true centre half forward, and Bailey Fritsch, the notable goal kicker, will have a set shot from, he'd have to launch from outside 50 directly in front.
He pulled that ball underneath him, but it went straight underneath him outside the back, come out of his legs, so he didn't actually have the football
and he should have got a free kick for too high.
The back. Yeah, exactly.
So the 6-goal hero in the granny last year, the leading goal kicker from directly in front. His first set shot on the left for the night. It's not going to make the distance. It's marked right on the goal line by James Stewart, the big key defender for the Bombers.
Had a bit of a nightmare on the last line last week, not able to get a fingertip.
Yeah, he made sure of it tonight, didn't he?
Through. Got a fair piece of that. He kicks it to half back, and Joel Smith takes the intercept mark for Melbourne. So it's coming back inside 50, pokes it up into Fritsch's path, leaps for it, can't take the juggled effort, spills to Wiedemann, look away, hand pass went to Parrish, hand pass to Redman and away to Nick Martin in the defensive 50, kicks Essendon up to the wing, Ham's going to have to go, picks up the half volley clean, hand pass out to Wright, who kicks a half volley up into the front half, but straight to Hunt. He goes short for Melbourne to Viney, who goes by hand to Oliver.
It looks like trouble because Oliver's been able to hit up Wiedemann directly in front. Got separation on his opponent, Stewart. And they are controlling the tempo out here at the moment, the Demons. They might just lead it by 6 points, but that inside 50 count is 13-5. They are monstering the Bombers as Wiedemann lines up for his second goal of the evening.
And as Wiedemann marked that, there were 4 other Bombers in just trailing in behind. They were all living back there just wanting to get a couple of little kicks.
So from directly in front, again in front of the cheer squad, and it's misfire. He sprays that right. This is a poor display of set shot goal kicking we're seeing in the opening quarter here by the reigning Premier. 1-4-10, Bombers 3 behind.
Kel, he went to kick the football at 20 metres ears out. Instead of kicking through the ball, being true to his kick. If I can just say, while he gets his 50 metres, the forward line of Essendon were retreating when 2-metre Peter kicked that ball off the ground. He had no hope of getting the ball to him. They can't retreat. They've got to come and meet the ball and put pressure back on Melbourne.
Tees by 7, free kick, the 50-metre penalty, Pickett in the danger zone, so as a result, Perkins puts it inside 50, into the path of Joel Smith. He's tackled by Draper, dispossessed. There's a pack which forms behind him as Oliver's locked up. We'll have a ball up, 20 metres out from the Bombers' goal at the city end. Draper puts his fist through it. Spills down to Shield, under pressure, hand pass at turnover to Jackson. He gives it to Sparrow. Sweeping hand pass to the back pocket. Brayshaw to Oliver. Oliver gets back onto his right peg, clears defensive 50. Stewart leads Tom McDonald to the footy, and Stewart takes the intercept mark for the Dons. He's 60 out at right half forward. Crowded forward 50. Melbourne by 7, 18 minutes into the opening term. Kicks long to Draper. Jackson getting back to lend a hand. And Big Luke Jackson takes the intercept mark, last line of defence.
He kicks short to May in the back pocket, who goes short to Tomlinson. Short, sharp kicks here for the D's. And they're able to just slice them to pieces with this short, sharp kicking game at the moment, Lingy. Now Spargo's got it.
They just exiting so easily at the moment, and then they can break the game open. Beautiful kick.
And it opens up to Bailey Fritsch, who can wheel around and go. He's 75 metres out. He's kicked to Harms in a one-on-one. Spoil was good. From Kelly, no, it's a hold. It's a hold against Kelly. And Harms is going to have a set shot only 20 metres out.
Harms was clever there, Cal. He just knew to come at the ball late because Kelly was turned a little bit and just forced that grab. And not a lot in it on replay, but enough there to trigger the umpire because Harms tried to come at it rather than just get in a wrestle.
Bombers are just mentally shot here at the moment, aren't they? They're lacking confidence in every contest, really, one-on-one around the ground. So Harms to straighten up the Ds. They've kicked 1-4 so far in a dominating opening term. 20 metres out, 45-degree angle, and he's shanked it as well. Well, they are kicking with tension this evening, Melbourne. And it's 1-5-11 to 3 behinds.
Hind on the tick, kick out long to Phillips, who's up strong and takes the pack mark at half back for Essendon.
So Stringer's got to get in the game.
Oh, he's got to get some work rate, Nick.
Yeah, he does.
He just walks around. He's pointing, saying, kick it to me 90 metres away.
Short and wide to Parrish, and now Parrish is with the contest, kick down the wing. Guelphy can't take a one-hander. There's a free for a hold. Going to Bombers' way, advantage applied. Heppel inside 50, but Brayshaw drops in front of Stringer to take the mark.
It's a poor kick by Heppel.
Oh, he goes wide to May, and in the passing lane is Matt Guelphy, who just knocks it out of play, so forces the neutral ball and a boundary throw in half forward for the Bombers.
The teammates are telling Heppel, just peruse the ground. You might find there's someone a bit wider and a bit freer than trying to pinpoint it.
Half forward here for Essendon. Stewart in the ruck against Jackson. It comes down to Caldwell, who gives it off to Durham, and now Heppel, he paused and his kick was smothered, and now they pounce the Ds. The kick goes straight down the centre of the ground and the foot race is on. It's going to dribble inside 50. Laverty's there, mops up and delivers nicely. So this is the second gamer in Nick Martin. His kick on the outer side couldn't hit up a target. Setting off his hind, he keeps it in play. A curling kick on the left, back in front. Here's Bowie. Bowie's beating them all at the moment. To May, to Tomlinson as they exit out of the defensive 50. It was a dump kick there by Tomlinson. It allows Jordan to come in and get involved. Now Heppel. So quick couple of handballs. Heppel just throws it on the boot, and the big man Sam Draper playing in front has taken a mark. Wheels off to Stringer for his second kick, and it's going to land right on the goal line, where Brayshaw was able to take the easiest mark.
Tell you what, if you're going to run around the back like that and get a handball, kick the goal. Because Sam Draper could have just went back, had a set shot, easy distance, more composed. You're going to call for it, got to kick it.
8-point lead for Melbourne, 1-5 to 3 behinds. Brayshaw out of the defensive 50 to Rivers. Goes long with the kick, finds Harms. High half forward, pokes the pass to Pickett. McDonald free in the goal square. He just kicks it in his path in the pocket. McDonald leads at it, had his arms chopped. And a free kick for McDonald, left forward pocket for the Ds.
I'm going to need to see the replay on this one, Nick.
I reckon he's stiff, but what we're seeing, though, is the ease of when they come into the forward line. And when they come in the forward line so easily, they're able to pick which one they want to kick to. So it puts the backline players under enormous pressure. Free kick there, Lingy?
I don't think so. No.
Oh. They've missed 4 set shots already, but not this one. McDonald curls it through. And Melbourne are all over Essendon in the opening term. The reigning premiers 2-5-17. Essendon stuck on 3 behinds. It's much worse than it reads. Melbourne by 14 points, time on opening quarter.
Essendon's defensive transition is woeful. Now, Melbourne haven't capitalised because they've kicked 2 goals 5, but it could very easily. The shots at goal have been simple ones.
Yeah.
Could easily be 6 goals 1, and we're talking about almost game over. But, Mick, I've got to go back. I don't like that from Jake Stringer. He can't get into the game. He's got 0 work rate. He's called for the ball where he's going to be kicking off 1 step from outside 50. It's not even as though
under pressure.
Yeah, under pressure. It's not as though he's running down and freeing to get good momentum. Fair enough. Call for it and back yourself in. That's That's just him trying to get a kick.
It is selfish.
And a flying shot at goal.
So a couple of minutes left in this opening term. It's Melbourne by 14 points. Bounce down in the centre and it's gone. The high kick's going to land at centre-half forward. McDonald goes late, just got a fist to it. Charging through is Oliver. He's got to beat a couple of bombers here and he can't. It's flicked out to Guelphy, who gives it off to Durham. Getting involved now, Stringer. Stringer's got Ham. Ham tries to beat Langdon, then he panics, gives it to Durham, who drops it. Now somehow he regathers, gives it off to Guelphy from 49 metres. He goes for home, and he misses to the left. It was a low kick from Guelphy. It was panicky and it was nervous handballs, all under pressure from the Bombers. And they couldn't quite break through and open their account here. 2-5-17 Melbourne, Essendon 4 behinds, and a minute and a bit before quarter time.
Oliver's had 7, Petrarca only 3 so far in the game as the long kick from May out to half-back for the Demons is coming back. McGrath across the body, kicks to half-forward, but Viney drops in the hole in front of Parrish and takes the intercept mark. He goes back to May. 2-5 to 4 behinds. D's by 13 points. Time on opening quarter. Short to Oliver and now long kick out wide to Brayshaw. Left half-back. And the headgear again today. Along the line to Jordan, marks in the number 23. Hand pass away to Oliver. He kicks Melbourne long to half forward. A one-handed effort. Nice work to Ridley. Held out McDonald and takes the intercept mark for Essendon.
This is just going to be monotonous with Melbourne's midfield just being able to carve up the Essendon midfield at the moment. It's really disappointing because the back line have actually held. I mean, poor kicking for goal too by the D's, but
Ridley kicks to Kelly and Kelly's target was Stringer. It gets slapped out of his hands. Petrarca pounces from 60 metres out. He kicks it into the right forward pocket. Fritsch almost got there. Desperate lunge. And it's going to be a boundary throw in. It dribbled over the head of Fritsch and over the boundary line. Lever's got the match up on Bailey Fritsch at the moment.
I think Kelly thought he'd give away a free kick.
Yeah, I think he did as well. We're just watching the replays.
I think he was just walking there thinking,
that's a free.
So boundary throw in at the punt road end. Draper punches it away. Stolen by Viney. Gives it off to Petrarca. Back to Viney for a snap. They haven't been able to land many set shots, but he lands the left foot snap, the vice-captain. Viney opens his account. The D's 3-5-23. They are bullying the Bombers, just 4 behinds at the 26-minute mark of this opening term.
You're right, Cal. That's exactly what it is, bullying there. Plus 11 in contested possessions. You saw 2 broken tackles there, and just the strength and the confidence of those Melbourne mids. Christian Petrarca is being, well, I'm not going to say completely well held, but he's only had the 5 touches and has had a shot at goal, mind you. But now the others are feasting because they put a bit of attention on a Petrarca. No one is going anywhere near Clayton Oliver. If Viney didn't kick that goal then, he would have fed it out the back to Oliver and he would have had a shot at goal.
Yeah, Oliver's... Yeah, and then you look at, say, Parrish has had 2 and 1. 2 and 1.
This is just being destroyed in the middle, aren't they?
19 points, the margin could be much greater than that in the way the game's been played as Gawn wins it down. Oliver hand pass to Gawn, who gets another centre break, kicks it deep to Wiedemann, no mark, spills out the back to Stewart. Hand pass to Hind, kicks out to half-back for Essendon. Langdon and hand-bang bodies in the air. The ball ends up out of play off the fist of Langdon. And a throw-in half-forward for Melbourne. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Corbin, we're 3 minutes away from the normal start time of a Friday night game. You can still see around the concourse thousands of people are still coming in. Clearly the early start has caught so many people out. They're expecting 60,000 tonight. Just wondering what Lingy's advice would be to Essendon people still to enter the stadium.
Stringer away from the stoppage. Drills his kick down the wing, but straight to Rivers, who takes the intercept mark. I'm not going to name names, but I think there are some people in this box that maybe didn't realise it was 7:20 as opposed to 7:50 start tonight.
I'm just saying the Westgate Bridge was quite heavy.
You had a long drive in from Geelong to Dillingy.
I think Corby might think that one of the teams thought it started 7:50 as well.
Melbourne 3-5-23. Essendon just the 4 behinds in that opening term. That's 8 scoring shots to 4. Melbourne not only kicked 5 behinds, 4 of those misses were from set shots and gettable kicks at that. The goal kickers in the opening term, one for Wiedemann, McDonald and Viney. While Essendon at quarter time, a goalless The thoughts of Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling coming up. We're still another 15 minutes away from the start in Adelaide, the showdown between the Crows and the Power. We'll keep you updated throughout the night. If you want to listen to it play-by-play, there is a call available through the AFL app. Just look out for the ABC Worm on ABC Radio, News Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
If you've been through a disaster, like an earthquake, a fire or flood, you'll know they're overwhelming. I'm Dr. Kate Brady, and I work with communities after emergencies and research what happens in the months and years after these events. Join me for After the Disaster, a podcast to help you find your way through and beyond these life-changing moments.
Most people who are not in the community don't really understand the experience of disaster.
Find it on the ABC Listen app, the ABC Emergency website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Stephen May pump it back inside 50 for the D's. He just lays it up to the hot spot. A leap at it again from Wiedemann. He'll get another look at it. Takes the mark in front of the pack and he'll shoot it left half forward from 25 out. Sam Wiedemann for the first of the game. He's got it. Arms high half forward, pokes the pass to Pickett. McDonald free in the goal square. He just kicks it in his path in the pocket. McDonald leads at it, had his arms chopped. And a free kick for McDonald, left forward pocket for the D's. They've missed 4 set shots already, but not this one. McDonald curls it through.
Draper punches it away, stolen by Viney, gives it off to Petrarca, back to Viney for a snap. They haven't been able to land many set shots, but he lands the left foot snap, the vice-captain. Viney opens his account.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds here at the opening quarter at the MCG. The reigning premiers Melbourne 3-5. They lead Essendon just 4 behinds in that opening term. We've got a rare doubleheader on a Friday night in round 3. The game to come, the Crows and the Power. It starts just after 8 o'clock, so still another 10-15 minutes away. There's no late change in Adelaide. Pedler and Frederick, the 2 subs for the Crows and the Power in the showdown. But our focus here at the G, Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse.
Well, Mick, we talk stats sometimes, and sometimes stats lie. We saw Essendon players in round 1 against Essendon have a heap of pretty stats and do absolutely nothing. But I'm going to read a stat line and talk about influence from a midfielder. Only 9 disposals, so not groundbreaking stuff there. But 9 disposals, 4 clearances, 5 inside 50s, 3 score involvements, and also a shot at goal himself. 254 metres gained. Clayton Oliver.
Already.
That is a midfielder truly influencing a game. Essendon don't want to go anywhere near him. Their midfield, and the other case, is just getting destroyed.
Well, Parrish is the cream. He's had 3 possessions and gone 21 metres. So this is the damning figure.
And no clearances.
1,700 metres to 1,300 metres. That's the distance. For those that, when we talk these meterages, what it is how far you can take the ball forward either by kick, run or hand pass. It doesn't necessarily mean it ends up anywhere. If we have a look at, let's say, Stringer's kicking efficiency is 0 at the moment with his 3 kicks. And look at say Oliver at 67%, another midfield, some under pressure. Brayshaw is a winger, he's got 80%. May is at 88%. He's had 10 possessions at full back. I'd like to say that there's some hope, but that it looked like that Essendon were waiting for Melbourne to come out and go, now what do we do now if they start on top? Instead of you've got at the same time that you want to tag players or be defensive, you've still got to generate enough football so that your forwards have some capacity to put a score on the board. Now, Melbourne have let them off the hook. 3-5 is possibly 6-2 or maybe 5-3. So they've let them off the hook totally. The 4 points from Essendon have never looked like anything else but 4 points, albeit the fact that two shots on goal were quite poor. They should have been, and that would have sometimes a goal like that just sparks a bit of enthusiasm. Look, I don't want to write Essendon off here. I think Draper's having a crack in the ruck, but when he's up against Gawn 1 minute and then perhaps Jackson the other. You know, you've got to capitalise at the midfield there, Lingy.
You don't want to write them off, you're right. But if I was Ben Rutten, I would have stormed straight out to the midfield and just said, okay, assistant coaches, you sort the defenders and the forwards. I'm going to talk to this midfield group. We've supposedly packed with blue chippers ourselves, Parrish and McGrath and Stringer starting in the middle. It starts there because that was really, really poor in the first quarter. They got destroyed. So if they are to get back into it, it has to start from that group of so-called A-grade players in the Essendon midfield.
I'd like to see how Parrish goes now, because Melbourne aren't worrying about him. They're just winning the football and saying to Parrish, you've got to come at us. Because each one of those Melbourne midfielders are winning the hard football, winning the running football, making up ground. We've seen now Brayshaw, and he plays like this, but he's marked the ball twice in the goal square. So, and that tells you the work ethic of Melbourne's side.
Draper's gone to the bench to start this second term. So it's Phillips that's into the ruck against Gawn. Gawn straight down to Petrarca. And then barging through was Viney. Stringer tries to almost basketball or slap it to his advantage. Quick fire handball out of there. Ham pounces on it. Wheels one way, then the other, and now delivers a penetrating kick. Goes towards but can't find Peter Wright. Tomlinson goes in. He had it. He's stripped of it. Calling for ball. Now firing out the handball. The Bombers in control. Here's Stringer. Flicks around on his left boot, and it's Tex Wanganeen. Wanganeen in the right place at the right time. And he's going to have a set shot, Mick, at that punt road end. Directly in front, just about 30 metres out.
Well, there was nothing pretty about that whatsoever. It was just get the ball in there and position yourself. As it turned out, it was a kick across the shoulder by Stringer that got there anyway. But nonetheless, they got their hands dirty to get it there.
That mark had a bit of gav about it.
It did. It was bouncy, wasn't it? It was elastic-like. And Wanganeen on the approach has hit the post. And straight away, the giant screen has flashed up to Dad Gavin, of course, an AFL legend, a Hall of Famer, two-time premiership player who threw both arms up to his head. He couldn't believe it. The Tex had hit the post.
This is why I don't get this kick-off. I do not get the kick-off. The ball's on the wing now from 3 kicks. Not even look like being touched by an Essendon player.
They went wide to Brayshaw, then to Viney, and he kicks it up to Gawn, who marks on that southern boundary line. He goes short. It's in the hands of Viney, one of the 3 goal kickers so far for the D's. And Viney just long with the contest, kick to half forward. Jackson, like he's got his name on it, goes running at the foot. He can't complete the mark. Oliver extracts it. Hand pass to Langdon. Links up with Pickett. Kicks inside 50. On the hot, McDonald collects. Tries to step around Stewart. He's tackled. He's dispossessed. He's pinged holding the ball. And James Stewart will be rewarded in the back pocket for the Dons. An 18-point lead for Melbourne. The Bombers still looking for their first goal. 3-5 to 5 behinds, 2 minutes into the second.
And their kick was a wobbly one. Able to just get there was Ham. Over the top, he gives it the high kick, and it's stolen by Hunt, who thought about going on, and then he does. He spots something all by himself further up the ground, and that was Langdon, who gives it off to Viney. Viney's got space. This is all too easy for the Demons, and he delivers beautifully to Jackson. Hands in front of his eyes and takes a strong mark. And he'll go back and have a set shot.
Terrific footy by Melbourne. Got to give them credit first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
But the defensive transition again of the Bombers, Mick, non-existent.
Absolutely. Well, the strength of Melbourne is Jackson's marked it, but just in behind him was Gawn.
So he's already kicked 3 goals, 1 this season. Breakout star from last year, Luke Jackson. He's become a fan favourite, and on the approach, he's missed as well. Hodgie, just how breezy is it down there? We're looking at the flags on top of the MCG Giant screen, and they are fluttering quite a bit.
It's swirly at best, but it's not really favouring either end and making conditions slightly difficult, but not enough to explain the appalling kicking we've seen so far from the Demons. But I'm kind of thankful they have kicked badly because they've kept the game at least alive.
Yeah, it's the Demons by 19 points, 3 minutes gone in the second term.
Well, that's what happened last night, of course.
Ridley on the kick out to half-back. We've got a ball up from the restart. Gawn wins it down to Petrarca. He puts it out on the full. A hurried kick, trying to put it back inside 50.
Touched.
Oh, touched on the way through. So
yeah, just off the boot.
Well, the boundary throw in then, half forward for the D's.
He enjoys his footy, Christian Petrarca. Always a big smile on his face. He lined up alongside Stringer at that first bounce in the second term. And they're sharing a gag. I'm not sure it's a good look by Jake Stringer. But Petrarca enjoys his footy.
And he can enjoy his footy.
He can.
Gaunda shoves Phillips out of the way. Free kick for the Bombers. Parrish takes the advantage. Oh, a quick hand pass. Martin away to Perkins. Under pressure, he turns it over.
Dump tackle back here, Corbs.
Corbs
Dangerous tackle.
back.
Yeah, to Perkins. Take the kick against Jack Viney. I think it was. He's standing the mark anyway. He's going to get the blame.
Let off for the Bombers. The D's were away through half forward. Perkins, dangerous kick across the centre square. Cutler traps the footy down, knocks it to Redmond, took an unkind bounce. Jackson got it out to Spargo. Melbourne back with it in the middle. Hand pass to Petrarca. He shoots a hand pass away to Harms. Back to Spargo at half forward through his hands. And Cutler back onto it for the Bombers. Under pressure, Laverty. He's tackled, dispossessed. Jackson another go in the chain. Hand pass to Langdon. His hand pass turns it over. And Perkins a high up and under to half back for Essendon.
And they're not out of strife yet, although that off hands, no one could take it and take the mark. And now it comes the way of Ham, who delivers to Wright out in front. Couldn't take the mark. As soon as the ball hits the deck, it's a free kick and it's going the way of Guelphy. So Wright with those outstretched arms, but a good spoil from behind. Guelphy brings it back inboard. And now the kick goes right to the arc of 50, but Stephen May had most touches so far in that first quarter, is able to there and link up a chain of handballs, although Langdon's just handballed to himself. He might almost pull this off. Hunt comes in to help him out. There's plenty of hair in this contest. Caldwell now, he's handball. That's been stolen by Neil Bullen. Petrarca just comes in. He storms through with power and he's been caught. Cutler got him.
No, they've called play on here, Cal.
All the fans are booing because they all stopped. They thought that Cutler's pulled off the tackle of the year so far.
The players stopped as well.
On catching the uncatchable in Petrarca. So play goes on. And it's Jaden Hunt who throws it on the boot to a one-on-one at half forward. Stewart beats McDonald to it. Handballs backwards to Ridley. Throws it on the boot from a standing start. Viney almost the mark. Cutler then. Once again they stop. Everyone thought Viney had it. I think the umpire's lost his whistle. Play goes on. Up towards half forward here for the Bombers. Firing out a handball. Redmond on all fours. Nothing's clean for Essendon. Everything's difficult. Parrish gets tripped. Fires out the handball to Guelphy. Still the umpire's lost his whistle. They're going. Clayton Oliver picks it up. Out of the mess. Handballs over the top to Langdon. He's got a runner on the outside in Viney. Viney can deliver right on the 50 and McDonald takes the mark. Everyone's a little bamboozled by that passage of play. The umpire's letting it go and it ends in the hands of Tom McDonald, who will have a set shot right on 50, just a step or two in from the brand new Shane Warne stand, the old Great Southern stand. So a tough angle, but he's on the right side for a right footer. Opens up that angle. Oh, he's missed that by a long shot. Another misfire.
Cal, just so you know, I know Mick and I are supposed to be experts.
Yeah, you haven't said anything for a while.
Yeah, we can't explain what just happened in that passage of play. That was holding the ball every day of the week. Then there was a mark. That was called play on. So, yeah, maybe just leave us alone for a little while, can you?
Melbourne by 20 points. Bombers still looking for their first goal from the kick out. Heppel on half-back, kicks down the wing. Right went up. Spoil comes from Gawn. Still in dispute on the wing. There's Oliver again. Hand pass back into congestion. Comes to Durham. His hand pass a turnover. Joel Smith for Melbourne. Hand pass to Oliver. Away to Harms. Hooks a kick down to half forward. Laverty can't trap it. Half back for the Bombers. Parrish shoots a handball out to Martin. He takes on a couple of tacklers. Got it back to Kelly. Kelly to Laverty, and Laverty kicks hurriedly down the wing. And the two captains, Heppel pulled out late, and Gawn takes the intercept mark on the wing. Melbourne by 20 points, 8 travelled in the second.
Just toying with them almost at the moment, the Demons.
I know it's only one man, but...
Short to Brayshaw, hang on a sec, Mick, and
yep.
Brayshaw's kick couldn't find a target, but Oliver's there again. His hands are so good. He's so great to watch. This time he couldn't hit up a target. Loose ball. Jackson pounces on it. Gives it back to Neil Bullen. Standing start. High ball. Oliver's there again. It's off hands. Petrarca. Can he get it to pick it? No. He's caught again. The umpire finally blows his whistle and says, Christian Petrarca, you have been caught holding the ball, and it's a Bombers ball.
Good kick from Ridley out to Phillips, who marks in front of Gawn.
Well, he's had to play wide to take hold of that, to get Gawn out of the corridor.
Draper's drifted down. Give him a chance. Get him. He's got to run at this one, Draper.
Phillips long to half forward. Draper's down there. Joel Smith spills the mark. Bombers at half forward onto it. Here's Shield. Hot hand pass for Wright. Wright kicks inside 50. Man all alone. And it's Cutler who takes the mark. Centre half forward for the Bombers. He'll have a set shot from 45 out.
Well done by Peter Wright. But I was just about to say, a fit McDonald, Tip and Woody is exactly what Essendon need on their forward line. Someone who can hunt the ball on the ground, because Melbourne's numbers back there are outstanding.
They just mop it up, don't they?
Yes, they do. Well, they always get their ruckman back there. It's not Gordon, it's Jackson helping out.
He's kicked a goal in each of the first 2 rounds. Tom Cutler moves in. His drop punt is pure. Straight through it goes, and Essendon have their first of the night 10 minutes into the second term. The Bombers are 1-5-11. Melbourne 3-7-25. Margin back to 14 points, 10 played in the second term. They're not stacked in that area anyway, Mick, but Will Snelling's another one who's missing that small light wire forward.
Absolutely, 14 points. This is 14-point game. It is a 114-point game, but somewhere the one at the front has dropped off. So that's what I say about a strange game. Last night was a strange game. The Dogs dominated, and almost at the end, it took the captain to kick a goal to win it for them.
To Essendon's credit, it's been messy as hell in the last 7 minutes, but they are cracking away, and the contested possession is even back up. In this quarter, it's pretty even. They're not clean, they're not efficient, anything like that. At least they're cracking in a little bit.
Well, it's 20-18. They've actually got their nose in front with the contested ball.
They're going to win the centre bounce here. Shield gave it to McGrath, who got it back to Shield. Delivers on the left boot to Wright, who marks.
That's a good mark.
Directly in front, and he's taken that mark on their All-Australian fullback, Stephen May, who was all in his back. Perfect defence, went for the spoil, but Peter Wright, with those strong hands, was able to clunk the mark. And if he can put this through 2 in a minute after it took to the 11-minute mark of the second term to break through with their first, this would bring the Red and Black Army to life.
Shield.
Directly in front. Steps over the 50. He likes it before it even crosses the line. The Bombers have woken up. 2 goals in a minute, and the margin is 8 points. 2-5-17 Essendon. Melbourne 3-7-25. And as ridiculous as this sounds, we've got a ball game on our hands.
We do, Cal. And it was Dylan Shield out of the middle. Finally, Mick. Hadn't done anything else for the game. And hit up Peter Wright, and that was a sensational mark, because Stephen May couldn't have done any more as a defender there. That was a really important grab from big 2-metre Peter. Wow, just fighting away and scrapping away in this quarter. The Bombers can all of a sudden just feel a little momentum shift.
That was Shield's first kick. Yep. He's had 1 and 4. So it's a good time to have it if you're going to have it.
3-7-2-5. All of a sudden, it's back to 8 points the margin. As Sparrow just gets the centre clearance, sockers it to half forward for Melbourne. Wiedemann out to meet it. Hand pass missed his intended target. Sparrow gets rid of McDonald. There's Oliver away to Petrarca. Kicks inside 50. Diving effort from Gawn. No mark. Hind tries to clear only as far as Wiedemann. Chucks it on the boot, but he misses. 20 metres out. Another behind for the D's. So they're 3-8. 6 of those misses, though, have come from gettable set shots. Essendon are 2-5. Melbourne by 9, 13 played in the second.
So Ridley to Heppel, and then back to Ridley. They've got a bit of run about them. Hind brings it back inboard, straight to the Demons and straight down the throat of James Jordan. That's poor by Foot. A skill error by Hind with no pressure whatsoever. So Jordan's going to kick towards Gawn. He's got the sit. He tossed Ridley aside like a rag doll, and he didn't move. His eyes on the yellow spinning Sharon, and he's made it a contested mark look so easy in the end.
Well, it's, that's bad management by Essendon. I know they're undermanned, but that's not a good matchup. That is, you can't stand next to a big bloke like that. You've got to come off him or get someone to stand in front of him and make him have to work you over.
So Max Gawn to the city end, 45-degree angle. 30 metres out, we're going to ride this right behind him in the ABC commentary box. 2 quick ones to the Bombers. And the captain could steady, but he doesn't. He absolutely shanks that, and it lands right in the middle of the Bombers cheer squad. And aren't they up on their feet enjoying that one and giving it to Max Gawn? Margin now is Melbourne by 9 points.
Well, lucky there. Nick Hine would not have enjoyed that last edit. He had the turnover kick. He's the one who had to fly. No, he's small, but he had to help Jordan Ridley there and chose not to.
Heppel long to half-back. Durham tries to move it on. He was tackled without the footy by Bowie. Free kick for Sam Durham. Playing just his 9th game, had a jumper change in the off-season, went from 42 to 22. A long kick to half forward. Gee, Wright just clattered into Gawn.
Yep.
And there's a free kick going Melbourne's way. They took the mark anyway. Jordan takes the advantage. He goes back to Rivers. Inside defensive 50.
Yeah, he's very sore, Max Gawn.
He finds McDonald, centre half back. Short kick to Jordan, middle of the ground. He goes short 2 to Oliver, who's had it on a string. Looks inside the forward 50, which fills up with red jumpers. The kick for Oliver out wide. The target, Neil Bullen, no mark, and it's out of play. 30 out from the Melbourne goal.
Just from the naked eye, Hodgie, to me it looked like a knee into the ribs for Max Gawn, but he's well behind play here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Peter Wright, knee into the back. You're going to feel that. He couldn't get any air into his lungs at all. The physio almost had a laugh with him just to say, just take a few seconds, Max, and finally got to his feet. And he's running out to the middle, so he's okay.
Okay, boundary throw in then inside 50 for the Demons. There was no Gawn. McDonald took it, and now Oliver tries to spin his way out of trouble. Caldwell's got him. So they've really ramped up the pressure, the Bombers, in this second term. Oliver a little casual, and as a result, Caldwell with the kick on the defensive arc. Goes long down the line. The target was right. Off hands, it's all Demons. Hunt with the quick kick around the body. In fact, it was Langdon, and it's gone out of bounds on the full. So it'll come back to the same position. Caldwell will take it. This time, instead of going straight down the wing.
Got to run with it from there. The switch was on and you took it off the line, the Bombers here. But instead, they just hesitated, and now Melbourne can mop it up.
As Lingy said, they went the switch, but it doesn't come off. It comes unstuck. Spargo, who's been crunched after he got the handball away, got it to Fritsch, who wheels around with ease. And all by himself inside 50, taking the mark, is Sparrow.
So it was Laverty who got it switched to him in a heap of space. And I'm talking an absolute paddock of space, and chose to just stop, which meant that all the Melbourne defenders could shift across. So the switch just completely slowed down. Then he still decided to kick out to the wing in front of us. And as soon as Melbourne turned it over, they had options galore. If you're going to do that switch against Melbourne, you've got to keep going with it. Go with some speed.
So set shot kicking's been a problem for the Demons. They lead this by 9 points. Tom Sparrow swoops in and shows them how to do it. Sparrow with his first for the evening, and it's his first for the year. And Melbourne skip out to a 15-point lead. 4:8:32, Essendon 2:5:17. Halfway through this second term, Mick Malthouse on Grandstand ABC.
Lingy, what you just said then about moving with speed. Now, I know I'm talking about a game last night, but the Dogs knew that Sydney could get back and press hard with numbers behind the ball. The only way to upset that was quick ball movement, take them on so that you might catch them out with 6v6, but it was good enough then to have multiple shots on goal. Essendon, one of the things why I picked Essendon was their speed of one of foot, but also the way they move the football. It's when you want to stop and prop with the football in your hand with many, many metres around you, you're given the option, you're giving two options to the opposition. One, they can stop. Two, they can go and man up. If you run at them, they've got multiple options, and that confuses.
15 fewer inside 50s, and they trail by 15 points, the Bombers. They get a centre break here as Parrish kicks to centre half forward. Perkins competes, spills down in front of Martin. He knocks it away to Wanganeen. He's dispossessed, comes to Joel Smith. He's tackled, taken to ground. And the umpire says ball up.
It's better out of the centre anyway by the Essendon side.
Half forward for the Dons. Jackson and Draper. Draper knocks it back to the corridor, but straight to Bowie. Rebounds off half-back. Kicks to the wing. Wiedemann got away from Laverty and then takes the mark. Hand pass away to the running Harms. He shoots one out wide to Langdon in the long sleeves. Further wide to Oliver. Had plenty of it in the opening turn. Hand pass to Harms, who's wrong-footed. And backing back over the boundary line, he's drilled into the turf by Laverty. And we'll have a boundary throw-in on the Southern wing, Tim Hodges on the boundary.
It's freezing cold down on the boundary, Corbin. It feels like the middle of June. Cozzy Pickett has come off. He had the long sleeves. I reckon they were too tight and he was uncomfortable. He's taken the long sleeves off. It took 2 blokes to get the jumper off. He's gone the short sleeve, so he'll be cold out there, but at least he's comfortable.
I didn't realise how soft you are.
Here go the Bombers. They've got it through the centre of the ground. The driving kick from the boot of Shield. Peter Wright takes off after it. May hits it first. He handballs over to his teammate in Rivers, who can go wider still to the long sleeves in Langdon. And now Brayshaw draws the defender, handballs back to Langdon on that outer wing, and then short to Bowie.
Wiedemann, you want to look at Wiedemann take those marks. He's 197. And he's not... The key back on him have to be really diligent.
Bowie drives it long looking for Wiedemann, chopping it off in front. Was Ridley.
Yeah, gee, he's a good player, Ridley, isn't he? He's better when he can do that, when he has the confidence to jump and take the intercept marks. He's very good one-on-one, but he's really elite when he can intercept as well.
He goes short to Caldwell, so Demons by 15, time on second term. Caldwell long down the wing and no one at the drop. Brayshaw takes the intercept mark for Melbourne. The headgear again goes short to Harms. Hand pass out wide to Oliver. He's going inside 50 again. Here's Wiedemann. Leaps up, no mark. Falls to Spargo. Hand pass a turnover to Hind. Now Nick Martin for the Bombers. Swings it to Shield. Here go the Dons off half-back. The 1-2 with Guelphy. Nothing up ahead. Shield turns it over. A hand pass to no one in the centre square. Jordan rides a bump and gives it to Joel Smith for the Demons.
Smith can flick it wide where May marks in front of the Demons bench, who brings it back inboard to Jordan, and then wider still to Spargo.
Had a absolute certain target, Dylan Shield.
Just had to kick, even just a scrub kick. Get it forward.
Anything.
So the short kick from Spargo hits up Rivers.
30 metres clear, the Essendon play. Was it Stringer?
Yeah. You're going to have to hold me back at half-time a little bit with some of the things I want to say about Jake Stringer, Nick. His work rate, even in defence now, in this team defence, he just goes there to have a rest.
So Rivers on the wing. He gave it to Viney. He gets it back. He goes for the long bomb. They're going to fly in from the side. McDonald was there, the target. Ridley with a fumble. Hind just casually waltzes it over the boundary line. Harms comes in and tackles him, and then Guelphy comes in and pushes Harms in the chest. And Harms, the tattooed player, with a shove back into the chest of Guelphy. So a bit of feeling. Demons by 15 points. They led it by 19 points at quarter time. A goalless opening term to the Bombers.
McDonald wins it down to Pickett. Snaps goalward. Needs a kind bounce. Doesn't get it. It bounces across the goal face and out in the opposite pocket. A throw in City End for the D's.
Dangerous all over their forward line, aren't they? It's Pickett there on the ground. You've got Wiedemann in the air. Jackson in the air. Gawn in the air. McDonald in the air.
Time on second term, Melbourne by 15 from the boundary throw-in. Draper and McDonald knocks it down in front of Caldwell. Langdon steals it from them. Hand pass to the top of the goal square. 2 Ds collide. It comes Essendon's way as Hind the 1-2 with Heppel, and Hind out to half-back. And Guelphy takes the mark for the Bombers.
And it's a Paddock as he looks up ahead on the northern wing of the MCG. There is not one player there. Eventually, Stringer jogging along. He gets in front of the wing, and the only option for Guelphy is to go short. So this is Shield across half-back. He's going to go now looking for Stringer. Draper's from the other side. The spoil was good off the fist of McDonald. And he's happy to see it off. Rather Smith, Joel Smith, with the spoil over the boundary line. A couple of quick interchange moves. McGrath coming back on, and Braden Ham for the Bombers, because the boundary throw-in is right in front of the interchange bench. Jackson in the ruck, slipping over and going without it was Caldwell. Phillips got involved. McGrath just picks it up and kicks it out of bounds on the full. Only went about 10 metres, but it landed right in the arms of Max Gawn, who's taking a breather on the bench. Hands on the hips, watching on. He flicks it to Jordan, who takes the kick in, and it's chopped off by Phillips. Phillips, now the switch is on, but it's been stolen. A juggling mark. He's dropped it in the end, Fritsch. Fritsch dropped what it would have been an intercept mark. And Will Kelly with the pick-up, and now Guelphy, Jake Kelly rather. And then Guelphy is able to feed it out wide. And the Bombers can retreat and reload through Cutler.
So Tom Cutler has got one already tonight for Essendon. He kicks down the wing. Stringer competes and Stringer will get the free. He thought he had enough of it with the pressure from Smith. And he'll take his kick just forward of the wing. Second game back from a groin injury which restricted his pre-season. He chips it down the line. Cutler trying to mark, and he will be paid it.
Terrific take.
Late pressure from Petrarca, the former Lion. Now Cutler searching for the extra distance, goes long to right. Jackson at the back spills the mark, falls to Durham, hand pass to McGrath, who snaps, and McGrath pops it through to cut the lead to 9. And Essendon have no business being this close on the stroke of half-time. 25 minutes travelled second term. Melbourne 4-8-32, Essendon 3-5-23.
Well, they may not, what you say, but the difference in the contested ball from first to second quarter is quite remarkable. The Dons have made a real effort to attack the football on the ground, attack it in the air. Don't give Melbourne any cheap or easy football, and that's what's made it an ugly game, but one where if the way it was going, Melbourne were able to play whatever they wanted to play. So full credit to Essendon. Melbourne have hung in there though. I mean, Melbourne have still controlled what they had to control. They haven't certainly given Essendon any easy goals.
They've had 14 inside 50s to 6 again though this quarter.
Yeah.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
So they just haven't taken their chances again.
3-1 to the Bombers, and they're going to take it out of the centre here. Parrish on all fours fires out the handball. It's going to be a free kick. It's going the Bombers' way. Parrish, as he fired out that handball, was taken too high by Viney. So Parrish wheels around, goes long. It's going to hit right on the bounce. In fact, it beats him and over the boundary line.
Yeah, it's played from 50 metres to the goal square, 50-metre defensive, 50 metres forward to the back line. Yeah, you're right, Nicky. Melbourne have controlled that part.
Final minute of this opening half. Melbourne monstered the Bombers in the first term, but they couldn't put it on the scoreboard. Boundary throw in inside 50 for Essendon. The kick from goes to Cozzy Pickett, who's been tackled and taken too high. Cutler giving away the free kick. Pickett's got it across half-back. Kicked sideways and wider still to Brayshaw. These short kicks, working the angles out of the defensive 50 where they picked the Bombers apart in that opening term. Short to Hunt. Hunt now goes long, looking for Gawn. Front position on Stewart. It's thumped away. Roving was Viney. Bouncing ball, dribbles inside 50. Tom McDonald's going to have to beat a couple. He's running at high speed towards the boundary line and runs it over the boundary line.
At least the Bombers, Mick, this quarter, if they can just hold on for the last 4 seconds, have just found a way to scrap their way back into this contest and go in at half-time with some belief.
Jackson, he's stolen from him. And it's half-time here at the MCG. And it is Melbourne leading by 9 points after they led by 19 at quarter time. 4-8-32 to Essendon 3-5-23. The goal kickers for the D's, Wiedemann, the late inclusion for Ben Brown, who's out with health and safety protocols. McDonald, Viney and Spargo. And for the Bombers, it's Cutler, Wright and McGrath. A topsy-turvy opening half. It was the Demons who flexed their muscles in that opening term. They kicked 3-5, should have led by a lot more. And somehow the Bombers have been able to rally and dig deep and kick 3 goals and respond after their goalless first term here at the MCG.
Hodgie, you're down on the boundary for us. Simon Goodwin, who actually coached his first AFL game for Essendon back in the final round of round 2013, and we know everything that was going on at that time at Essendon, but obviously premiership coach with the Demons. Did you spot him down there on the stroke of half-time?
Corbin, as soon as it went inside the final minute of that half, he took off straight down the race. I reckon he would have had been 20 seconds. He would be at the whiteboard now. It would be an old-fashioned Mick Malthouse bake, I think, coming up just with the mood. He was storming off, steam coming out of his ears. I think they might cop a rocket, even though they lead. The Premiers might get it quite a rant from the coach, I think, coming up.
Almost twice as many inside 50s. They lead that category 34-18 and yet lead the game by just 9. 4-8-32 Melbourne, Essendon 3-5-23.
That's a great idea, Hodgie. Mick, Take us back into the coach's room.
He's just filthy because I said how weak he was. You want a big jacket on.
First of all, is it rant worthy?
Oh, it gets a bit of heat off yourself. That's the only one that really bothers.
But what you saw from the Demons? I mean, completely in control.
I wouldn't. For the Demons, well, the Demons missed. See, when you start telling blokes, why didn't you kick a goal? You reckon they don't mean to kick goals? So that's a waste of time telling them. You might say, let's think about what our actions are when we're having shots for goal. What are the clearances that quarter? The contested ball, Melbourne still were around about there, so you wouldn't say that they fell away there. The inside 50s they had a lot more. Perhaps you might say that the method of bringing it in, but the method of bringing in wasn't too bad. They still marked a lot of football going inside the 50, but Essendon were a bit more, had more numbers there. So there's not a lot to say if I was the Melbourne coach to go and say rant and rave and give them a bake, because generally speaking, like the side that you're playing only had 7 inside front 50 and capitalised on 3 of them. It's not a massively big headway. I'd be saying, I'd be quite happy with the game, quite frankly.
When you were a coach, you were always had that brisk walk, head down going, and Simon Goodwin just charged into the rooms. Is that a moment to compose yourself before you address the team when you're not happy with what's going on, or you don't compose yourself?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, look, Kel, over the 30-year journey, every game represents something different. So there are times when you want to get down there and just settle them down. There is time when you want to really just bring them in, and I can still vividly call it at Etihad or down at Docklands, just thinking, what a mess this is, and just let's get something done here and let them know at the door. Then walk away, because then they know that no one's happy about it.
And experienced teams, I think, too. If it was perhaps a younger team, a building team, you might give them even more direction, Mick. Am I right in saying that? But an experienced team like Melbourne are, I think by the time Simon Goodwin gets to them, the leaders at Melbourne will have already said some pretty strong things to each other about their ball use inside forward 50, taking advantage of them a little bit more, trapping the ball inside their forward 50 better, and around the contest, just allowing Essendon to get back into the game contested ball-wise. I reckon some of the conversations that would be going on between Oliver and Viney and Petrarca and these would be pretty robust conversations. They're not the sort of ones that you'd have with your friends when you're catching up for coffee. They, in a really mature team like Melbourne is, that's had success and know each other, played together for a long time, you say some things to each other on the football field within game time that you probably wouldn't say to any other human being on the planet, which is a good thing. But you take it in the right way, you fix it up, and you get on with what you need to improve. So I think Simon Goodwin would know he wouldn't have to hit too many of them too hard, because it's probably already been said to each other.
And one of the things you always got to remember, and you say this at the beginning of the season, Kel, what I say on match day, don't take to heart, because on the Sunday or the Saturday after the game, I want to be able to walk in the rooms and still talk to you. So, there's some things are pretty... I still recall Glenn Jakovich, if I can go back that far, and my last game, he said, I love you to death, but I'm still scared stiff. and you think, well, it's okay. But
I feel the same way.
Did you have to apologise to anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. A few where you thought, that's a little too far.
Yeah. Oh, well, just... Yeah,
I wish I'd chosen different words.
Finger in the chest a couple of times is unnecessary.
Yeah. Can I ask as well, Mick, because I know Bomber Thompson, my great coach, did this for sure. He would walk in a game that they're in front, game that when we're in front,
absolutely,
and he would go bang, bang to 2 players who had really strong standing in the group, who he knew that could take it and have no issue with it, because it would send a message right throughout the rest of the group of, oh, goodness, if they are going to cop it, I better fix myself up here. Did you have a couple
there was Michael Monkey Brennan. I said to him in front of the group, I said, you are that selfish. Now, these are Michael Brennan, who's played on Lockett, Dunstall, Ablett, Kappa, Modra, and he's looked at me, and I said, you're just worried about Dunstall kicking a goal on you. There was a loose football out there. David Hart was busting his guts to go and get the football. All you need to do was go across and help him. But no, you didn't want Dunstall kick his 8th on you. And he's looked at me, and all I could just see the team just go, no one calls Michael Brennan selfish because he's such a, he's such a bloke about the team. Did the trick, because, like then they go, it's Michael Brennan. I mean,
part-time coach, part-time psychologist.
I was going to say
you've got to be that.
No sacred cows. Absolutely.
You've got to be that.
Yeah.
You've got to be that. I walked in the showers at half-time one day, and it was Simon Beasley, and I'd taken him off the ground, and he's in the showers. What are you doing in the showers? He said, I'm proving. I've got a football in my hand. He said, I'm proving I'll play in the wet. I said, well, okay, fair enough, I'll put you back on. Or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, though. It might have been a train. Whatever it was, because when it was really wet and this sort of stuff in those days, we had a Western Oval, he just didn't play much. But he was just being Simon Beasley. I mean, it was an ugly sight, believe me.
Oh, don't go there, please.
It's
half-time, it's Scott time, isn't it? Don't put me off my food.
It's a 9-point lead for Melbourne, 4-8-32 over Essendon, 3-5-23. Out of the Demons' set shots tonight, they've had 9 looks. They've kicked 2 goals, 6 and 1 out of bounds on the full. So that just might give you a little more understanding of the tenor of this game. It's Melbourne by 9 at half-time. The other game, it's a double-header, round 3 Friday night footy. It's a showdown in Adelaide. The Crows and the Power, and we've had an early lead change. So the Crows are up by a point. 6 minutes in, Adelaide 1-1-7, Port Adelaide 1-6, and we'll get you there for the final quarter tonight as well. So a real treat with a bonus term to come on Grandstand AFL. ABC Radio, News Radio and Sport Digital at halftime. It's the D's by 9 points. Let's see what's happening in the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. British intelligence says Russia has redeployed some of its forces from Georgia to Ukraine. The UK Ministry of Defence says around 2,000 Russian troops are being reorganised into 3 battalion tactical groups, which include troops, air defence and artillery. In his latest video address, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his troops are preparing for new Russian assaults.
In the Donbass, in Mariupol and in the direction of Kharkiv, Russian troops are accumulating their offensive potential, powerful offensives. We will defend ourselves. We will do everything to stop the occupiers.
The head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, is expected to urge China's President Xi Jinping not to provide weapons to Russia in a virtual summit this evening. The BBC's Nick Beake explains.
Western officials now believe Moscow has asked Beijing for military assistance and other help to cushion the blow of sanctions. EU sources say President von der Leyen will urge President Xi to reject such Russian requests and instead use China's might to bring the fighting to an end. Brussels officials are not expecting any significant agreement from today's virtual talks, but hope China will consider dissuading Mr. Putin from using weapons of mass destruction as his war grinds on.
Investigators have spent the day at a crash site in Victoria where a helicopter went down, killing 5 people. The crash has been described as one of the worst in Victoria's recent history. Here's Sarah Jane Bell from Mount Disappointment.
Dozens of emergency personnel have been working in dense bushland at the crash site alongside aviation investigators who are trying to piece together what happened. Heavy machinery has been brought in to help crews clear a path to the site so that experts from the Australian Transport Safety Bureau can survey the area and retrieve parts of the helicopter for further examination.
Canberra Health Services has apologised to families at a Canberra hospital paediatric ward after their children didn't get meals last night. Here's our ACT political reporter, Harry Frost.
A 1-year-old girl was admitted to the hospital on Wednesday, but due to delays, her procedure was pushed back until today, and family were told she had to fast from midnight. But the baby hadn't eaten since lunchtime yesterday and wasn't offered a meal at dinner time last night, leaving her and her parents extremely distressed.
I haven't seen my daughter not cry in 3 days now, and that breaks my heart.
Canberra Health Services confirmed the girl wasn't the only patient who'd missed meals, and the hospital is now reviewing their meal procedures.
An inquiry has heard a property developer who was a high roller at Star Casino spent nearly $100 million on prohibited Chinese debit card. Kathleen Calderwood has the details.
The inquiry is looking into Star Entertainment's suitability to run its Sydney casino. Philip Dong Fang Lee was one of the casino's largest patrons, and the inquiry has heard he frequently used a China Union Pay card for gambling. These cards were supposed to be restricted to non-gaming expenses due to the risk of money laundering and an agreement with the bank. Documents shown to the inquiry indicate he spent nearly $100 million on the card at the Star and lost around $57 million while gambling over 14 years.
The Northern Territory's Shadow Health Minister Bill Yan is calling on the NT government to scrap the vaccine pass, describing the health measure as contradictory. The government's eased vaccination requirements, with the pass to no longer be required at large public events or sporting venues unless a person is buying alcohol. But proof of vaccination still required for other venues, including bars, pubs and clubs. Mr Yan says the pass targets businesses with a liquor licence.
You can go to a sporting event now unvaccinated, but you can't actually buy a beer, but you can do anything else. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and we're certainly wondering where the health advice is that supports that decision. So at the end of the day, the vaccine pass doesn't really serve much of a purpose anymore.
Police in Sri Lanka have arrested more than 50 people following violent street protests in the capital Colombo. Officers have fired tear gas at demonstrators who were protesting food, fuel and power shortages. Sri Lanka's in the midst of a foreign exchange crisis that's crippled its economy. And the British government will ban conversion therapy for gay and bisexual people in England and Wales, but not for transgender people. Comes hours after it said it would drop the ban entirely. Instead, it's promising to explore non-legislative measures. You're up to date with ABC News.
What does it take to rebuild when your town is lost?
It's an experience that I hope no one else ever has to go through.
Malakuta are doing it their own way.
You can't leave it to the bureaucracies.
We know best about what we need.
We are having a Malakuta election.
Can they stand united?
The opportunity is now to build back better.
The People's Republic of Malakuta starts Tuesday, April 5 on ABC TV or log in to stream on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Bombers at half forward onto it. Here's Shield. Hot hand pass for Wright. Wright kicks inside 50. Man all alone. And it's Cutler who takes the mark. Centre half forward for the Bombers. He'll have a set shot from 45 out. Tom Cutler moves in. His drop punt is pure. Straight through it goes, and Essendon have their first of the night, 10 minutes into the second term.
Spargo, who's been crunched after he got the handball away, got it to Fritsch, who wheels around with ease, and all by himself inside 50, taking the mark is Sparrow. Set shot kicking's been a problem for the Demons. They lead this by 9 points. Tom Sparrow swoops in and shows them how to do it.
Cutler searching for the extra distance, goes long to right. Jackson at the back spills the mark, falls to Durham, hand pass to McGrath, who snaps, and McGrath pops it through to cut the lead to 9. And Essendon have no business being this close on the stroke of half-time.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds here from the second quarter at the MCG. It's Melbourne by 19 points. Melbourne by 19 points at quarter time. It's now Melbourne by 9 at the half. So all bar one goal, 6 of the 7 have been kicked to the punt road end of the ground. An earlier start, which means we're probably at half time a little bit earlier than most were expecting. There were long queues out the front when the ball was bounced. A 7:20 bounce as opposed to a 7:50 start, and the reason for that is it is the first of 2 games tonight. The second to come from the Adelaide Oval, which is already underway, the showdown between Port and the Crows, and it's Adelaide who lead at 2-1-13 over Port Adelaide 1-2-8. Now the news in the competition, there's a bit kicking around. Really on the COVID front, we're still waiting for teams from the Western Derby for Sunday. They won't be announced until Saturday. We do know that Justin Longmuir is out of the game. He's in the COVID protocols, so as a result, Jamie Graham is going to be the interim coach of the Fremantle Dockers for the Derby come Sunday. Meanwhile, Dan Hanbury's undergone surgery on his calf after just 15 games with St Kilda, so another setback for Hanbury. And some news out of this game pertaining to the squads more broadly. Zach Reid, who was a top 10 pick from a year ago. Hasn't played a heap of footy. He's had glandular fever. He's also had a foot complaint with stress fractures. He is going to play in the VFL tomorrow for Essendon against Casey. And in the same fixture, Anthony McDonald-Tipungwuti is back as well. So that'll put a smile on the face of Essendon supporters. Their team's within 9 of the reigning premiers at half-time. Melbourne 4-8, Essendon a 3-5. Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse, second half action coming up. They've been beating the Bombers in a lot of the major categories and yet still close on the scoreboard. Lingy, you did say during that second quarter that Mick would need to hold you back from your assessment of Jake Stringer. Have you got a tempered view on what you've seen from him in that first half?
Only, Corbs, because I know he's good. He's so very, very good. And we saw the second half of last year him become one of the very best players in the entire competition. So it's not like it's a player who is just an average footballer and I'm being overly harsh because he's not living up to being average. I am comparing him to his best, and his best is excellent. It is outstanding. But tonight, I've watched him closely because I want to understand what he does in a game. He has next to no work rate. He relies on one little burst at the right time, and if it comes off, listen, he's the type of player who might still kick 3 goals tonight, Corbs, which is great. But it's reliant on 3 bursts where he can charge towards goal, Mick, and maybe kick those goals. The rest of the time, he is providing absolutely zero to his team because he's not, and this is probably because he's had an interrupted pre-season and because he's coming back from injury, he is not fit enough to be playing at a really high intensity standard of AFL football. They need him out there because he's so good, but he's not fit enough right now to be able to play genuine midfield minutes and have a massive impact consistently throughout the game. His work rate just simply wasn't there in that first half. Yeah. And from such a terrific player, that's not good enough. Your team needs you. You're down a Zach Merritt who's not playing tonight, and a couple of your other A-graders are struggling. They need better from Jake Stringer.
That's why you can't underestimate a really good pre-season, because from all accounts he was on top of it. Then he hurt his groin, and now he. And I know the players that you like and don't like. It's the one, and I'm not saying that this is a personal thing, but you look for work ethic. Jake picks and chooses, and more often than not, when Essendon control the ball, he chooses the right option and the right position and the right place to go, find the ball, get a good kick, and knock it over. So I think everyone's aware of what's required, but if you are dragging the chain defensively, that's got to overload someone else. And if you've got a young side, it overloads too many players, and that's when you succumb.
Or even greater work ethic in attack as well.
Yeah.
To actually, because his opponent will go with him because he's such a dangerous player. So you can clear space for your teammates. It's walk. Oh, I realise I should be over there. Then run hard for a little bit. Walk some more.
Yeah, almost trying to get through the game.
Yeah, that's not helping your team. Now he'll start in the centre bounce here. He's an excellent clearance player, so he may well get it fantastic. And then he'll just drift forward. But then his work rate's got to begin. Just really cover the ground. Create something for yourself or create something for your teammate.
Second half action upon us. Melbourne by 9 points on Grandstand AFL. You with Kelly Underwood.
And there's no shield in the middle as Draper and Gawn go at it. Neither can take it cleanly. Parrish swoops, gives it off to McGrath, who started in the middle and delivers to half forward. It goes over the head of the intended target in Nick Martin, and then a great tackle applied by Bowie. And Bowie's going to be rewarded for it. So Nick Martin, who had 27 disposals, 5 goals on debut, missed last week because he was in isolation, yet to have a similar impact. Bowie, however, drives that beautifully to Gawn, who marks in front of Draper, attacking side of the broadcast wing. Brings it back inboard to Brayshaw. Brayshaw's got Spargo, who's all by himself, 60 metres out directly in front. He could almost launch from there. He thought about it. Instead, he handballs off to Hunt. A wobbler on the left, and the wobbler is the shocker. And Redmond, in the blue shoes, says, yep, I'll take that one, thank you very much.
It may be hard to explain this on radio, but I'll try my best. It was Jackson and Wiedemann did a power of work off the footy just before from Melbourne for Max Gawn to take that mark down in front of us. They were zigzagging, they were crisscrossing, they were blocking for each other, working back, doing all this work. That's what I'm talking about for Jake Stringer. Just do the work off the ball to either create an easy ball for yourself or, just as importantly, something for your teammate as well.
It was a wasted opportunity for the Bombers, and the kick defensively has found the boundary. So a boundary throw in. Draper thumps it straight down to Caldwell. It's a high kick. No one takes it in the air. Here's Stringer. He's looking left. He's looking right. And then he's kicking out wide to Guelphy. That is a wonderful, well-weighted kick. Guelphy going back and then running sideways takes the chest mark. He runs around the player on the mark. And he kicks towards Wanganeen. It was through the hands and a chance for Wanganeen. Tex on the left. Wanganeen with the snap. Dad Gavin is up and about. He pauses. He thought there might be a replay. And now Dad Gavin celebrates. And Tex Wanganeen, the Wanganeen legacy lives on in the red sash. And that will bring the Bombers to life.
Oh, what a goal.
It's outstanding. Outstanding. What poise he made.
Yeah.
Like he summed it up. That's what you like about a play like that, was able to get the ball one touch, sum it up, and then execute.
And the lateral movement to just buy himself an extra metre. Whew.
And how good is this? They're flashing up on the giant screen and the broadcast, at the TV broadcast, the reaction of Gavin Wanganeen watching the replay with this massive smile on his face. Can you imagine what it must feel like to, on a ground that you've dominated and won 2 premierships at, to watch your teenage son go out there and go about it? Incredible.
Magical moment. The Bombers within 3 points, or a big one in the context of the game. In the middle of the ground, McGrath, hand pass to Parrish. He kicks to half forward, bounces off the chest of Perkins. Still with the Bombers. Cutler kicks it inside 50. Peter Wright's got it. He can shoot to put Essendon in front.
Oh, great start to this quarter by the Bombers. They are ripping in at the contest. They are on the move. They're using the ball a lot more aggressively too. I've had a little clip at Stringer, but give him massive credit. That kick before out here was superb. And straight away then they just decided to go directly at the goals and get it in quickly to Wright. Good signs.
So for his second, Peter Wright. The D's left the door ajar and Essendon have kicked it in. The Bombers are in front. 4 minutes into the third term. Essendon are 5-5-35. Melbourne 4-8-32. Second lead change in the game.
And what about Cameron Ling that's told all those Bombers fans that were late to come into the ground, just turn around and go home?
Oh, I don't think I ever
you
said
did say,
that,
did you?
No.
Well, Hodgie was trying to get you to say it.
I was considering it at quarter time, though, Cal. No, this has been a really good turnaround. And you know the best thing about it, Mick, is the second quarter, it wasn't an immediate turnaround where you pile on 6 goals.
No.
It was a
fight.
And it was an arm wrestle, and it was scrappy, and it was ugly, but they slowly shifted it back their way a little bit.
Well, they kicked 3-1 in the second quarter, and you wouldn't have known that statistically, but 3-1 with 7 entrances. So, it's amazing, this game.
5 of the last 6 goals go the Bombers' way. Gawn's going to take it out of the centre. He's loping along, and then he kicks it long to the top of the goal square. It goes over the pack. Foot race is on. Hind under the pump, tackled by Spargo. Just dribbles off his boot and over the goal line, through for a minor score.
You'll see the champs, though. They'll stand up, as Gawn has already done.
Hind goes long, straight down the pipe to Nick Martin, who takes the mark at centre half back. So Essendon with a bit of pep in their step. Kicks out wide to Ridley. Runs away from Pickett. Goes wider still to Ham. Southern boundary line collects. Hand pass to Heppel. Hand pass back to Ham. They get around Bowie. Up into the front half. The kick from Ham towards Peter Wright. Charging out to meet it. And Wright's got it again. And 2-metre Peter can kick for his third.
Yeah, and trailing in badly was his direct opponent,
Stephen May.
On 2 occasions, when Peter Wright goes to the football, you can't afford just to be standing back. You've almost got to get underneath his hip to see if you can take him away from the ball.
So Peter Wright, the set shot, 52 out, left half forward. His drop putt is superb. The Bombers with their best patch of the night. They've kicked 3 in 4 minutes, and Essendon lead it by 8 points. The Bombers 6-5-41, Melbourne 4-9-33. 6 played in the third term. Meanwhile, in the showdown, 2 minutes before quarter time, it's Port Adelaide by 13 over the Crows.
Complete mind shift in the way they want to move the ball. Nick Hines' kick from fullback was absolutely magnificent. Nick Martin didn't hesitate. Straight away got it to a lateral player who was free. Different to the second quarter where that player would have stopped and waited. Went forward and took the game on.
Speed.
And they're getting it in. Now Peter Wright's feeling good. He's thinking, okay, and I'm playing on the All-Australian fullback, but if you get it into me quick enough and to my advantage, I'm going to mark the footy.
Especially when you lead up like that, Lingy, because Stephen May's got a good habit, and a good habit. With pressure up the field, he's able to sit off a bit. No Jake Lever there, but he can then take that mark. But when you've got a player like him leading at you, good luck.
Essendon by 8 points it is, and they're taking it out of the centre again. Here's a chance for Heppel, and now Heppel it was who goes wide, trying to keep it in play. Cutler and Guelphy's there as well, half forward. Kick coming from Stringer in the centre of the ground. So Stringer starting to get involved after a poor opening half. McGrath running with Oliver now. Boundary throw in 60 around from the Bombers' goals. They've kicked 3 goals in the first 6 minutes of this third term. Oliver's quick hands. Oh, he's stolen. He picked his pocket, did Shield. And now a handball to Phillips. Tries to get around Gawn. He went the sidestep around Hunt. And then Gawn gobbled him up.
It's been Gawn each time for the Demons. A couple of clearances and now that tackle. He's the one who's just saying, we're going to just halt this little momentum shift. It's all Bombers at the moment.
So Gawn kicks looking for Wiedemann and Jackson. Jackson tries to outmuscle his opponent. He was held. The opponent was Ridley. Jackson. He's got it on centre wing, right in front of the members. Thought about going long and then flares it wide. And goes to Brayshaw, who's going to kick in the pocket, the intended target down there. Oh, that's wonderful. McDonald falling back, playing for the free, had both his arms held back, and as he was falling to the ground, he was able to control the ball and take the mark.
Oh, that is an outstanding mark. Well described, Cal. It was going to be a clear free kick, I hope, for the holding the man, but still had the strength as he was falling to take that mark. Brilliant.
He's going to Stevie J, set snap as well. Because it's just a step in that left forward pocket at the punt road end. He doesn't make sweet connection. They've had the yips tonight, the Demons. They've had the yips, and he pushes that right across the face and through for a minor score. 4-10. 4-10-34. Plays 6-5-41. 9 minutes gone in the third term.
7 of those from set shots and 1 out on the full. Redman on the kick out, turns it straight over. Oliver marks at centre half forward. He goes short to Harms. And Harms can shoot from 40 out and make the Bombers pay the full price.
Yeah, well, poor execution. I think the idea was right, but you've got to be careful about filtering something about head high through 2 or 3 players. It's not going to get there.
So James Harms, the 26-year-old. And all of a sudden it's Melbourne who need a steadier. The Bombers with the last 4 in the game. Harms skips in. They've been wayward on the set shot tonight. They needed that. Through it goes, straight over the goal umpire's cap. And the lead is cut to just 1. The Bombers by a single point. They're 6-5. Melbourne are 5-10, having missed 8 set shots. We're 10 minutes into the third term.
Yeah, you're right, Mick. The intent is right, but you've got to choose the right time to have that intent. And when Melbourne were quite well set, they had Oliver there, they had 2 or 3 players, that kick is either got to be floated up a little bit more, so a bit more height on it, so you're not just going to get it cut off, or as you're moving and you're making that decision on the run, you think, okay, it's not quite on, I just almost check it down a little bit and just go, I'll take that 15-metre one. Yeah. And he might be the one who can bite off the next really difficult kick.
Yeah, and kickoffs are so important. You just don't want to give the ball back to your opposition. They're going to have a relatively easy shot.
Scrapping the centre of the ground. Oliver on all fours, but it's the Bombers that emerge with it. Heppel giving it to Stringer. Stringer now. How's his delivery? Right on the arc. Getting up and getting a hand to it there was Joel Smith for the Demons. And then they fight and scrap and eventually get it over the boundary line for a boundary throw-in. So that goal from Harms, that set shot, put an end to 4 in a row to the Bombers. They've responded in the most impressive fashion after a goalless opening term, and they trailed by 19 at the first break. Boundary throw in at half forward here for Essendon. And there's a pile of players involved there. So from a boundary throw in, we'll go to a ball up right on the arc. Jackson tries to flick it down to Oliver. Bowie scrapping off the toe of Phillips. Now Oliver again is the everywhere man. Nice little sidestep there from Rivers. But the smother off the boot means it ricochets back and back over the boundary line. It was Durham with the smother on Rivers.
Quarter time in the showdown as well. Port by 19 points over Adelaide. So same margin as it was here at quarter time for the boundary throw in. Shield first one to it. Hand pass to Martin. Kicks to the top of the goal square for Essendon. Nice work May. Just fists it away to Oliver at half back. Demons back with it. Gives it to Sparrow. Kicks to Gordon, a 2-on-1. Numbers win out for Essendon. Hind grabs it and Gordon mows him down. Tackles him out of play. And a boundary throw in front of the Essendon interchange.
There's two big tackles for Max Gawn in this quarter.
Yeah, he leads the way. I mean, he stands up strong in all the big ruck contests and marking contests. But you love to see that too. Gets his knees dirty.
Bombers by a point. Jackson wins the hit out. Oliver the clearance. High kick to half forward. Can't mark Laverty running back with the flight. And in the end, Fritsch has a fumble over the boundary. So a throw in half forward for the D's. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Rangers starting to fall down here, Corbin. It was after the first Peter Wright goal in this third term where Simon Goodwin, he wanted the message relayed from the runner to Max Gawn. There were lots of swear words in it. I could hear it. The runner gave it pretty much straight to Max Gawn. I think it rattled him for a little while, but gee, the response has been magnificent from the captain.
So from the boundary throw in, it's the Demons sending it inside 50. Shield mops up though, fakes the handle, delivers the kick to no one, and it goes over the boundary line. Oh, it's a boundary throw in. A few questions from the Demons fans in the front couple of rows there saying, was it deliberate? So a boundary throw in right in front of the Demons bench on the northern side of this grand stadium. Spinning ball, Jackson in front, beats Draper to it, straight down the throat of Harms. Great smother by Durham. Durham and Harms scrap. Big ball to be won here on the wing. Neil Bullen goes in hard. He's got to get rid of it because he might be pinged here for holding the ball. And the umpire says, no, he crosses himself instead. So it'll be a stoppage, a ball up on the edge of the centre square.
Essendon by a point. Draper wins it down. Oliver hooks a kick to centre half forward for the D's. Redman out to meet it. Hand pass through to Kelly. He gives it to Caldwell, who slips. And he's pinged holding the ball into the tackle of Bowie. And Bowie inside the centre square can put the D's back inside 50. He goes short to Harms. Plays on immediately. Harms for two in a row. Returns Melbourne to the front. Melbourne 6-10-46, Essendon 6-5-41. Back-to-back goals for James Harms. 14 played in the third term. Nick Malthouse and Cameron Lee.
It was just a concentration thing then, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Lingy, I was just about to say the same thing. The Bombers went to sleep. Everyone peeled off and fell back. And the players behind Harms, all of a sudden they realised, oops, you know what, we're supposed to be now pushing into the back 50. Too late. If you don't switch on here, and Melbourne are a very, very good football side. They will hurt you every time because they do last the game. And this is where the Bombers, in the last 5 minutes, have made a couple of little, like the turnover kicks and then not getting back hard enough to block that off.
So the biggest lead tonight was early stages of the second term when Melbourne led by 20 points. They've been able to wrestle the lead again and they lead it by 5 points. On the outer wing, the ball goes. A toe poke from Spargo over the boundary line, out of bounds on the full. Well, it was off an Essendon boot, so it'll be a Melbourne free kick.
Oliver with 7 in the quarter already. No other players more than 4.
Ed Langdon takes the free kick and he goes short to Bowie. Just short on the approach here, back inboard to Brayshaw.
Slack defence.
Brayshaw into the right forward pocket. Perfect placement. It was like he was going fishing. He launched that Sharon into the pocket and he asked Wiedemann to jump up and snaffle it, and that's exactly what he did. And Wiedemann now who's kicked 1-2 tonight from a very, very difficult angle in the right forward pocket. He's right up against the fence. He has to move the security's person's chair out the way. Could reach out and high-five a couple of kids in the front row. Right forward pocket, punt road end. The traditional approach. He'll need to thread it, and he does! Misses the easy ones directly in front, but delivers what might just be a tough blow for the Bombers. Halfway through this third term, Wiedemann, the late inclusion, has got a couple to his name, and they skip out to an 11-point lead.
Oh, brilliant set shot by Sam Wiedemann. Mick used the word slack, and you were spot on with it. Because as Melbourne had that ball, let's call it 80, 90 metres out from goal, there was a lot of Essendon players in the back portion of the ground, all just happily saying, I've got my little blade of grass covered here, that's all I need to do. And they found Wiedemann in the pocket comfortably, but they had multiple other choices. Clayton Oliver, who Corbs just mentioned, had 7 this quarter as a start. He was floating inside 50, no one anywhere near him. It was really slack. They've gone to sleep in the last 4 minutes, the Bombers.
Well, Brayshaw shouldn't have got that football. They went to sleep on him. He was the one that was able to set the play up.
From 8 down to now leading by 11 Melbourne, all in the space of 6 minutes. They've kicked the last 3 in the game. We got a secondary ball up in the middle as Gawn wins it down. Sparrow out after it. Just knocks it in the direction of Bowie coming off the back flank. Hand pass to Oliver. A little fumble. He scoops it up off the deck to Rivers. Kicks out wide for Melbourne. Just too far in front of Jordan, and it slides out of play.
I just like to think players like Dylan Shield gets involved in the harder aspects of the game when the ball is around the 2 ruckmen. Not on the spread, not waiting for Melbourne to get it first. Get your hands on it first, because he's so deadly with his kicking, generally.
Gawn wins the hit out down to Sparrow. Hand pass to Oliver. He soccers it out of the air and delivers to the umpire. That wasn't his intention, but out of bounds it goes, and a free kick for the Bombers. Caldwell to take it.
Oh, and he kept it very low, and he made it very difficult for Parrish to mark. Parrish now to centre half forward. Stewart with the leap. In fact, it's Phillips, and he leaps in front of Gawn and takes the mark.
Draper wants it long, but he's waited too long now.
Phillips eventually delivers, and he's kicked straight to the Melbourne defender.
You either go there straight away because you've got Draper one-on-one, or if you've gone too late, then you've got to be patient. Don't kick it there once the defenders have all got back and just filled up the hole.
So Joel Smith gobbled up that to Langdon. He went right round the outer side. The old Great Southern stand, the Shane Warne stand. Langdon getting evolved again and back inboard to Sparrow. This is what we saw in the first term. Short, sharp kicks. Too easy, no pressure applied. May's involved. They've worked their way to the centre of the ground. They've gone from the southern side to the northern side. Brayshaw now, and now Jordan. This is all too easy. There's no pressure being applied by the Bombers. Jordan goes back to Brayshaw inboard. Working the angles. A deliberate approach. And now Brayshaw. Gawn's the target. Gawn rises high, slips through his fingers. At the back is Phillips. He's tackled by Fritsch in a 360. Umpire says play on. Hind is their last line of defence. Goes short. And Durham in the pocket.
Sorry, Cal. This is the new one with the 50. There's no warning. If you take the mark, you don't come back to the 9 metres of equal with the goal square. They're not even going to give you a chance.
Wow.
You can't go forward to the mark. Like I think the Melbourne player... Was it Wiedemann or was it Langdon? I couldn't see. And the umpire got him straight away for the 50. It's a tough call because your natural reaction is to go to the mark.
That's well explained, Lingy, as the Bombers work it out wide. Martin to Hind. He kicks to half forward. And it's Dyson Heppel who has the footy here. 70 out left, half forward. Southern boundary line. Kicks to the hot spot. Gawn and Brayshaw both there, and Brayshaw drops in front of the skipper to take the intercept mark.
Brayshaw should not be given any right to take a mark there with the height that Essendon had. That was really slack.
He goes short to Rivers, and then Rivers turns it over, kicks it to Durham on the wing.
Brayshaw's had 6 disposals this term, all at 100%.
Durham to centre half forward to Nick Martin. Marks plays on, kicks to the goal square. Stringer wins a one-on-one in the goal square. He turns and snaps and pops it through for the Dons. And the game's been waiting for him to get involved, and Jake Stringer has one midway through the third term. The lead cut to 5. Melbourne 7:10.52, Essendon 7:5.47, 22 travelled third term.
Well, that's just moving the ball quick and giving your teammates a one-on-one chance. You've got Stringer down there. He's going to outmark his opponent there because he's got more strength. But if the longer you delay it, and I was just going to say the previous bit of play where where Melbourne control the ball, Essendon seemed to me to say, we'll get everyone back in the back 50, you can do what you like. Well, that's going to run out of legs at some stage until Melbourne start to knock it over from 50. They've got to defend the ball where the ball is for a start off, and then you take away the next 25, 35 metres so they can't get that cheap kick away. Essendon probably a bit lucky to get that goal, quite frankly, from where it started.
Melbourne lead it now by 5 points in the centre. The contest is on. The ruckman don't win it in the air, and then Petrarca and Stringer almost jump ball-like. Draper does battle with Jackson. Draper only as far as Bowie. Kicks towards half-forward. Kelly just soccers the toe poke, the volley off the ground, and Guelphy applies a tackle. There's no prior opportunity there, the umpire says, so play on, and now a stoppage, a ball up.
Stringer started in the centre bounce like he's done all night, gone forward. He's got Brayshaw as the match-up again. He's the one he just outmarked in the goal square. Isolate him. Get Stringer and Brayshaw one out as much as you can. Here
on the
goes.
wing, the ball up. Cutler kicks to half-forward, and it's Trent Rivers picking it off at half-back. So it's been a rollicking roller coaster, this match. Melbourne by 20, then Essendon by 8, and now it's Melbourne by 5. 7 minutes to play in this third term at the MCG. The ball's worked its way to half-forward here for Melbourne, but the umpire's blown his whistle and said play on advantage Essendon. Hine goes through the centre of the ground. Caldwell did well. Had to go back with the flight. Didn't know what was coming. Takes the mark. Right in the bullseye. Flares it wide. Phillips takes the mark. Uncontested. He goes short back inboard to Hines. Now the all-important kick inside 50. He opts to just skirt the perimeter instead to Ham, who dabs it over the top, and Stringer's on the end of it.
Love that matchup all night long, the Bombers.
Yep.
Stringer v Brayshaw deep.
I can't understand why Melbourne allowed that.
Oh, he's licking his lips, Jakey Stringer.
He marked that within 7 players. There were 7 Melbourne players ringing there, and Stringer ran through the middle with Brayshaw trailing. I don't understand how Melbourne would allow that to, once Brayshaw goes out of the wing, he's got to be replaced.
He loves the big moments. Jake Stringer, barely sighted in the opening half. This is just his 5th disposal, but for back-to-back goals and to put the Bombers back in front at the MCG. It's been typical Jake Stringer. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the Bombers fans are still up on their feet because they absolutely love him. Essendon by 1 single point, 8-5-53. Melbourne 7-10-52. 24 minutes gone in this third term.
His work rate has increased. I reckon he got spoken to at half-time.
I reckon he heard you, Lingy, because he was warming up.
He wouldn't have heard me, but I reckon he would have heard Ben Rutten at half-time, Corbs. But to let Angus Brayshaw take the match-up on him when Stringer goes forward, he's only going to have Jake Stringer feeling better about himself, because he's going to look at that match-up and think, I've got this covered. And now he just knows, get it to me quick one-on-one. I'll beat him and I'll kick another goal.
I'm amazed that Melbourne allow that matchup because you've got so many players that can swing around.
4th lead change of the game, 3rd in the quarter. Bombers by a point. Jackson doing the work in the middle. Wins the hit out, wins the footy. Gets it out to Langdon. Kicks a high ball to centre half forward for the D's. Fritsch in a tangle with Kelly. Free kick Melbourne. Advantage applied. Oliver kicks for Wiedemann. And Wiedemann marks left forward pocket. He'll kick from 20 metres out, slide angle.
Oh, nice kick, Clayton Oliver.
Beautiful kick. His direct opponent, Wiedemann, his hands on hips. I'm just trying to work out who he is turning around now. It looks like, it's Ridley, who just lost him and was hoping he dropped the mark.
Threatening to tear the game apart. He's kicked 2, missed a couple of others. Gettable set shot. Wiedemann pokes it straight through. He's got 3 on his return. Melbourne back in front. And the D's, after a wayward opening quarter, have got themselves in a rumble with the Bombers. We're 26 minutes into the third term. Fifth lead change of the quarter. Melbourne by 5.
It's still amazing. It's quite an amazing game. Full credit to Essendon being able to rebound. Credit to Melbourne to then wrestle it back.
Clayton Oliver's been a difference though all night.
Again, yeah.
10 disposals again this quarter, Clayton Oliver, and it's just been superb. And
Petrarca hasn't touched. Is Petrarca on the ground? He just hasn't touched the footy.
Yeah,
he has not touched the football this quarter. It's quite remarkable. He's in the middle.
He started in probably the last 3 centre bounces, opposed to Stringer. Stringer's only there just for the centre bounce. Then Stringer runs forward and is replaced by somebody who clearly goes to Petrarca and doing a good job.
5 minutes to go in this third term. 5 points the difference. Melbourne leads it. Stringer tries to take on all the Demons midfielders out in the middle. But Sparrow got him. Stringer jumps up, throws his arms at the umpire to say, what? He is red hot at the moment. He was empty in that opening half, but it's Spargo who's got the footy in his hands. He's going to flare it to a contest right on the 50. The big players jump. Here's Petrarca for his first possession this quarter. Big House. How dare you say the Norm Smith medalist didn't have a touch in the third? I'll show you from 50. Bangs it home, one of the best in the business. And it's Melbourne by 11 points, 9-10-64. Essendon 8-5-53 as we approach three-quarter time.
Hey, Cal, just quickly, watching Christian Petrarca, he's saying that this is touched. He's signalling it himself, which is good of him. It's not something I would have ever done, I must say, in my career. And I reckon they'll, as they do for every single goal, they will review this one. And I wonder if this one will be recalled. It was a magnificent goal, but let's see on the replay.
Yep,
it looks touched to me.
Wow.
Oh, the one time I could get excited to stick it up.
Stir it up with some more.
I've tried to get him all night.
You've had him in your sights all night,
you know
Cal.
what? They're playing it. They're playing the goal. And Petrarca knows
Petrarca's called it touched. Yeah, straight away.
Wow. That's amazing. It's been a bizarre night at the G.
D's by 11, so the point stand. Oliver gets the centre clearance, kicks to centre half forward. Harms collects on the half volley. Hand pass to Sparrow. Tackled by McGrath. Got a kick away on the bounce. Gorn collects. The big man snaps and hits the post. Would have brought the house down. Melbourne by 12. 29 travelled in the last.
Look at all the Demons fans' reaction. They're up on their feet. And both hands have gone to their heads. They can't believe it.
Sorry, 29 travelled in the third. We've still got another whole quarter to go.
So 5 lead changes in the game for this quarter. It's been quite remarkable. The kick in, Gorm was there. A free kick's been going the way of...
wow. That's an interesting...
No, it was May. Okay, May and Gorn were in the contest. So May's got it. So this last little purple patch has belonged to the D's. They lead it by 12 points. There's 3.5 minutes to play, and that delivery is beautiful. Beautiful because Fritsch was on the lead in front of Stewart in that left forward pocket. And he cuddles the Sherrin to his chest. And Bailey Fritsch, who's had a quiet night, yet to kick a goal this evening. Go back from the tight angle in the left forward pocket at the punt road end.
There'll be a lot of discussion about that Petrarca goal.
Yeah,
he called touch straight away. I know it's not like cricket when the batsman walks, he's out, even if he was going to be given not out. But I don't know how much they reviewed it.
So Bailey Fritsch to make it 3 in a row? No.
Other than just a cursory glance, perhaps.
Yeah, because it's sort of got no show whatsoever in it.
What are we up to, Corbin? The missed set shots.
5, 8 and 1 on the full. So that's another miss for the D's. 13 points their lead as Essendon work it up to halfway. The long kick from Happel was meant for Perkins, and Joel Smith comes over the top, whacks it out of play. Meanwhile, in the showdown halfway through the second quarter, it's Port by 8 points. Adelaide kicked the first 3 goals of the second term, but Port with the last through Todd Marshall, so 6-4 to 5-2, Port Adelaide by 8 points. Here it's Melbourne by 13 as we approach three-quarter time. Gawn grabs it out of the ruck, but then lost it. Parrish for Essendon, hand pass and turnover to Petrarca of the Demons. He gives it to Brayshaw, short kick to Oliver. Marks, hand pass back to Petrarca, who's working his way into the quarter. Hand pass to Langdon, Sells Neil Bull in a hot hand pass, and he's caught holding the ball. Free kick for Essendon. And they get it back through Shield, who can kick out wide to Heppel.
Doesn't want to waste any time. Heppel takes the mark and then wants to go on with it. Wheels around Sparrow, kicks it in front of Ham. Brayshaw comes in, does well to keep it in play. A little give and go with Langdon. That was clever, and Brayshaw now drills down the line. Petrarca takes the mark. He wants to go on with it. A high kick, looking for Gawn and finding his captain. Big Max had to really get on his bike then, and he's huffing and puffing as we close in on three-quarter time, sucking in the oxygen. Wiedemann is in the goal square, but he's telling Gawn to go for goal. Now, we know set shots are a problem, but he has nailed them from the boundary before. The miracle goal. 5 goals in the prelim last year. Who could forget that? In that right forward pocket, just inside 50. He steps over the boundary, over the 50. He unselfishly sends it to the top of the goal square, spoiled from behind from Phillips. And now Perkins just throws it on the boot in the centre. This will be interesting, a one-on-one contest. Stringer was there. It's thumped away from him. Comes the way of Brayshaw. Tackled by Ham. Kick ricochets back to Brayshaw. Shield wanted it more. He got there first. He goes to ground. Now a chance for Hunt. Brayshaw and Hunt, Langdon rather, try to team up. Hunt comes in, his kick is smothered. Bombers have stepped up the pressure. Langdon, cool head. And the umpire's blown a whistle, set a free kick coming back to Jaden Hunt. In the final minute before three-quarter time, it's Melbourne by 13 points. And they have possession across half-back.
Turns 27 on Sunday. Jaden Hunt, an emergency in last year's grand final. One of the heartbreak stories. Didn't play after round 20 with a foot complaint. He kicks down the wing. Stewart flies for it. No mark. Spills to Phillips. Still in Essendon's hands. As Durham gets it away to Heppel by hand back to Redmond. And he retreats into the defensive 50 for Ridley. Pulls the trigger straight down the pipe to Nick Martin. At centre half back. He looks out wide with a kick to Cutler. Marks Member side in front of the bench. Back in the centre corridor. Finds Perkins. Front edge of the centre square. They run out of time, Essendon. And Melbourne will lead by 13 points as we turn for home at three-quarter time. What a pulsating quarter of footy. Essendon and Melbourne both kicking 5 goals each in the term. And Melbourne end up edging the quarter by 4. It was a quarter in which there were 4 lead changes. There have been 5 in the game. Melbourne 9-12-66, Essendon 8-5-53, a 13-point lead for the Premiers. The goal kickers, Wiedemann's got 3, 2 for Harms. Both came in that quarter. 1 each for Petrarca, Viney, McDonald and Sparrow. While for Essendon, Peter Wright has 3, Jake Stringer 2, 1 for McGrath, Cutler and Tex Wanganeen kicking the first of the quarter. And he's run on start, I guess you could say, after making his debut as the unused Medi-sub last week. Tim Hodges is on the boundary. What have you spotted down there, Hodgie?
Corbin, just keeping my eye on Jack Viney. He was brought off about 6 minutes to go in that term. I'm not sure whether a physio or a doctor saw that he wasn't right or whether it was relayed from one of his teammates coming to the bench. It was a heavy knock. So they brought him to the bench and he was angry to be brought to the bench. They then went back through the replay monitors and both doctors watched. It was an incident there where he copped friendly fire. I think it was from Christian Petrarca. So they observed that, then they went and checked on him, almost to do a concussion test. Then he wanted to come back on the ground and they wouldn't let him. So I think they just let him sit there for 5 minutes just to check whether he's okay. Interestingly, he was the first guy on the ground when the three-quarter time siren went. He's absolutely dead keen to show the physios and the doctors that he's A-OK, but they did make him sit out the rest of that term after that really hard head knock.
Thanks, Tim. We'll get more on that throughout. So Jack Viney, just with a little spell, serving that concussion test. Melbourne by 13 points at three-quarter time. The thoughts of Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling coming up on ABC Radio, News Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
If you're streaming the unmissable final season of Killing Eve on ABC iView, you'll now need to log in with an ABC account to watch.
When does the show start?
Log in today to add it to your watch list so you never miss an episode. And if you're binging great dramas or comedies or docos or Starstruck,
That's so cool.
you'll be able to pick up watching where you left off across your logged-in devices.
Like you more and more and more the more I get.
Log in with your ABC account and make it yours on ABC iView.
the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Welby going back and then running sideways takes the chest mark. He runs around the player on the mark. And he kicks towards Wanganeen. It was through the hands and a chance for Wanganeen. Tex on the left. Wanganeen with the snap. Dad Gavin is up and about.
Handball, hand pass back to hand. They get around Bowie. Up into the front half. The kick from hand towards Peter Wright. Charging out to meet it. And Wright's got it again. So Peter Wright, the set shot. 52 out, left half forward. His drop putt is superb. Kelly, he gives it to Caldwell, who slips. And he's pinged holding the ball into the tackle of Bowie. And Bowie inside the centre square can put the D's back inside 50. He goes short to Harms, plays on immediately. Harms for 2 in a row. Returns Melbourne to the front.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It was a quarter that featured 4 lead changes, and at three-quarter time, it's Melbourne by 13 points. We will take you to the concluding stages of the showdown following tonight's game from the MCG, a rare Friday night doubleheader in round 3. The score at the moment, 8.5 to go in the second term. It's Port Adelaide who lead the Crows by 21. Adelaide did draw within 2 points, but Port have responded with the next 3. Here at the G, Melbourne by 13 points at three-quarter time. Cameron Ling, Mick Malthouse.
Well, Lingy, you nailed it. You wanted Stringer to get involved. He did, and every time he was involved, something come from it. It was an excellent quarter of football, because all the grunt work in the second quarter where we said, oh, it's an ugly game and not much happened. In fact, there was 4 goals scored in the second quarter. All of a sudden the game opened up, but it opened up in a manner where both sides showed a lot of class, a lot of skill. Melbourne showed why they're the best side at the moment. They looked like they were nailed up against the wall. All of a sudden they broke through again, and they now lead by 11 points. I'm still amazed at Gorney. He's just an amazing type of fellow for a start off, and the way he plays his football, it's just terrific to watch.
He stands strong so often when they need him. When it's just a subtle shift in momentum, he stands up. It's an interesting thing with Jake Stringer, isn't it? We made comment throughout that quarter about the matchup he loved of Angus Brayshaw. Had him deep, got him twice. Angus Brayshaw ends the quarter, had 11 disposals that quarter.
Yep.
Had 223 metres gained.
Yep.
So they want him. They're playing him off halfback. Maybe it's Christian Salem not playing there. They're thinking, or can we create another player who can do that sort of thing? You balance that outstanding ball use, metres gained, finding the footy, uncontested possession, bit of run and bounce off halfback from Brayshaw versus when he's caught on a player like Jake Stringer deep and gets exposed for 2 goals in a quarter. That's going to be a juggling act for them, because they, as much as they can, they don't want Brayshaw in that matchup, but they want him for the attacking weapons that he can bring off half-back.
Yeah, and he uses left and right side of the body. He's not overly quick, but you just know that when he's got the football, something's going to happen with it. The players, if the Bombers going to go if they're going to go anywhere this game, McGrath's got to get involved. Parrish again has to step up this time. Stringer's got to step up. He had 5 possessions. We don't want to get too caught up. He had 5 possessions that quarter. They've got it. Dylan Shieldwell, the jury's out on him now because of the way the game's played. But the test will be every stoppage, making a fight of it or winning it.
Melbourne by 13 points. Final quarter action underway. Phillips with the running start wins the hit out down to Stringer, who's at the coalface. Trickles a kick to centre half forward, but Viney, who's back on the ground, picks it off. A 1-2 with Oliver. Viney off the back edge of the square, kicks down the southern wing, and Neil Bullen skids through to take the mark. From the logo, sends his kick to half forward, D's to the city end. Wiedemann got hands to it, no mark. Gone front and centre, steals it, chucks it on the left.
He can't do it all.
Kicks it out on the full.
Thank God he can't do it all.
He stole it out of Cossie's hand.
Oh, he's just unbelievable. But I think he's just starting to think that he's not a ruckman anymore.
Christian Petrarca, 13 disposals for the game. So he's kicked a goal, a magnificent goal, but well down on his usual output. That left knee really is heavily strapped like we haven't seen before. So the Bombers work it. That's a lovely mark well weighted. Nice jump there and a beautiful mark taken by the defender for Essendon, Joel Smith. And now they work it forward to half forward here for Melbourne, and it's all the Bombers. So a couple of quick turnovers to start this one. It's Melbourne by 13 points. Not wanting to take the kick with Stewart, so he's wheeled off, and the kick there is out of bounds on the full.
Trouble is with the Bombers at the moment, they're either all back or not quite. Well, they're certainly not running to put pressure on. They've hardly had the ball inside 50, really, considering Melbourne's numbers. So they've got to run the ball further.
So May kicks it to a contest just on the arc. Here's Cozzy Pickett. He's been quiet tonight. Handball's back. Langdon's there. So too Brayshaw trying to beat them to it is Cutler. And Cutler, a win for him because he had the two demons bearing down, sees it over the boundary. So a throw in right in front of the Great Southern Stand, just a little aside where the Shane Warne stand sign is emblazoned across the grandstand. Phillips in front position. It's Petrarca at the drop though, throws it on the right boot in the direction of Jackson, but it's all Essendon. This is a chance behind, a centering kick, dangerous, and it's been picked off by the diving Trent Rivers.
Has not used the ball well tonight, Nick Hine.
3v1. Yeah. 3v1 Melbourne players. No wonder they're going to end up with it.
Rivers looks out wide for Pickett, leaps in the air, can't come down with it, spills to Hind, and just kicks hurriedly out of the defensive 50. Right, crashes the pack on the wing, spills to Caldwell, looks into the corridor, and Nick Martin marks. Back edge of the centre square for the Bombers. He goes straight down the pipe, dangerous kick, wanted Ham, trying to claim the mark as he spoils it away from Neil Bullen. Told to go, Ham pass to Redmond, laces out Guelphy. He marks a true centre half forward for Essendon.
I love that. Peter Wright, he's not going to get the footy here. He presented in the goal square there. He was part of the marking contest at half back for the Bombers against Max Gawn, who brought it to ground. As soon as it hit the ground, he took off, made it all the way back to the goal square as a genuine option. That is terrific work rate for him. Unrewarded, but exactly what his team needs.
They kicked 3 of their 5 third-quarter goals from back half chains. That's where this one's come from. Guelphy for the first of the final term. His set shot is wayward. He misses out to the left. The Bombers coming home to the punt road end. Margin 12 points. Melbourne lead it 3.5 into the final quarter.
May gives it to Langdon, and Langdon goes wide to Viney. Good spoil from behind Phillips on the smaller player. Just got a crucial little slap down hand there.
He's done all right, Phillips. He's worked hard. He's marked well. He's been a good foil for against Jackson and Gawn.
Here he goes. He tangles with Jackson. He palms it down in front of Jackson, but it's all Melbourne. Viney, Langdon, Oliver. Langdon right up against the boundary line, and he throws it on the boot, and it lands about the third row back. Bombers fan happy to gobble that one up. Not quite the buddy ball where the fan took off. This Essendon kid is happy to get right down to the front.
Let's like to
throw
see
it over the boundary line.
Let's like to see Melbourne stretch this defence a bit further. Come around. You might be coming around the Cape, but don't just keep kicking at the big, tall players that Melbourne can either spoil or mark.
So it's Redmond into the pocket. Right was the target. Waiting at the back was Hunt. He's kicked it out of bounds on the full as well. And this time it's landed 10 rows back.
Again, I love that from Peter Wright. He had to really fight hard against Stephen May there just to bring it to ground. It came to ground. He's the one who followed up with the pressure that caused that kick out in the full. So that's something I haven't been really positive about with Peter Wright in the last year or two, is his work rate, second, third, fourth efforts. Tonight, huge tick, and he's got the reward of 3 goals already. This would be a massive one if he could slot one from the boundary for his fourth.
You've given him a huge tick. This is a huge moment. From a 12-point game, the tightest of angles in the right forward pocket. It's not going to make the distance. They leap up. The big jump from Tex Winganeen. A spectacular hover, but he couldn't clutch it right at the peak of the pack, and it's off hands and through for a minor score. Melbourne by 11 points, 5 gone in the final term.
May brings it into Rivers in the back pocket. Trent Rivers, the Sandgroper for the Demons, goes along to the wing. Gawn is up, can't mark, slips through his hands. He got a little nudge and he'll get a free against a much smaller Braden Ham. Gone between wing and half back. He's just going to have to kick long to a contest here. Half forward for the Demons. Wiedemann and Jackson both down there. It lands in Jackson's lap, but touched on the way through. Hands it to Langdon. Kicks into the forward pocket. They all chase after it. Kelly wants the boundary line. He disguised it well enough. And a boundary throw in forward pocket for the D's. Melbourne by 11 points. 6 played in the final term.
So deep in the attacking end for Melbourne. Stumped by Phillips, beats Jackson in the air. He goes towards the boundary line. Can Hind kick it in? He taps it to his own advantage. Then he goes to ground. Stolen by Brayshaw. Short delivery finds Langdon. And Langdon with a set shot right on the boundary line.
Oh, maybe a little miss of a push in the back there. That's what the Essendon fans have seen on the big screen. To say that Nick Hind was pushed by Cozzy Pickett. Got away with it. And then so often happens when you can create that quick turnover. Just free players inside forward 50. The Bombers defenders had gone to run off and try and create. Left Melbourne opponents very, very free.
Ed Langdon has been everywhere tonight. Can he finish his good night? On the right boot, he's celebrating before it crosses the line. He went up with his hand in the air, buddy style, and now he's smiling because it missed.
Jumped the net too early, Kel.
Look at the big grin on his face. That just about sums up their set shot kicking tonight. I was watching the celebration and not the ball, Mick.
McGrath takes the kick out, heads up the southern wing, and Redmond knocks it under pressure out of play. So a throw in right on halfway. Melbourne by 12 points, 7.5 into the final term.
It's interesting, I haven't gone this far, and it's only a couple of points each, so it's still in an arm wrestle at the moment. Mind you, Melbourne hold the aces, especially at ground level here.
As Mick said, still looking for our first goal of the quarter from the throw-in. Gone down to Angus Brayshaw. He kicks up to the centre square. Pickett took out Hind illegally.
Yeah, got to go quick here. Created the turnover. See an option.
Too slow.
Yeah, too slow. You've got to take that first one, otherwise Melbourne are just set and it just forces a long kick.
Hind
he's tried to go sideways.
Wide, and he's turned it over again. He kicked it over the head of his teammate Ridley, and it slips out of play, so a throw-in on the wing. And his poor ball use continues, Lingy, tonight for Nick Hind. A 12-point lead for Melbourne, 9 travelled in the last.
It's almost like he's trying to bite off the perfect kick and the amazing kick to prove to everyone he's the world's greatest kick.
Phillips
take the
wins
simple
it
one.
in the air down to Parrish, kicks it to half forward. Where are the Bombers runners? Here they are. Hand says I'm here and I'm driving it through for a behind.
Open goal too.
Absolutely steaming in to 30 metres out. No one in front of him. Had the time, had the pace, had the speed. And another poor miss.
Yeah, that's a really good call, because perhaps he could have taken a bounce even, because there's nothing in front of him.
Melbourne by 11 points.
Now he goes wide to Hunt, who goes on a run, has a bounce off the back flank, kicks down the southern wing. Gawn clever, deft touch down to Viney, takes on McGrath, hand pass back to Gawn. He swings his hand pass out wide to Brayshaw. Short kick to Petrarca. He marks 70 out at half forward. Pickett's all alone. He looked for him. He kicks it over his head. And out of bounds on the full. Free kick Essendon on the back flank.
So the Bombers trailed badly possession-wise this quarter, 35-19. Inside 50 is the same. They're hanging in there by sheer nump, by scoring probably around about 50% of the time they go inside the front 50.
Bombers have had 25 fewer inside 50s. They trail the game by 11 as they work it up to the wing, but it's coming back. Petrarca, hand pass away to Langdon, loops a handball straight to McGrath. Away to Ridley by hand to Parrish, and now to Redmond at half back.
And they look to build. They bring it back inboard as they move it, swing it to the outer side. The big fly came from the Bombers, and once it hits the deck, it's all Melbourne. Jackson, can they torch them on the turnover? Wiedemann's kick has gone straight to the Bombers.
I'll tell you another way they're hanging in there, Mick.
Yeah,
poor Melbourne execution.
Ridley was able to chop it off.
They're going at 52%, Melbourne. Guess what Essendon going at this quarter? 42. So
no wonder we haven't had a goal yet.
Pressure and an error-riddled final term. We had 10 goals in that third term. 5-4 Melbourne to 5 straight Essendon. And we're 10 minutes into this final term, and we're yet to see a major. So the Bombers looking to build across half-back, and now the big kick. Gawn sets himself. He can't take the mark. A chance for Smith, and now back to May. May centering kick to centre half back where Brayshaw's all alone and he can set them up. He can handball to the run of Hunt through the centre of the ground, and then Hunt finds Neil Bullen, who can swing it out wide, and strolling in for goal is Spargo to finish it off for the Demons. And that might just be a dagger through the heart of the Bombers. Melbourne by 17 points. 11 minutes to play in this ball game. 10-13-73, Essendon 8-8-56.
17 points. Speaking of 17, that's how many marks Angus Brayshaw has taken in this game.
Doesn't he position himself beautifully?
17.
Yeah, he positions himself beautifully in the corridor.
Yes.
Right smack bang in the corridor all the time. And it's quite amazing when Melbourne get possession under pressure, it's almost like, here I am. They know exactly where he's going to be.
And we mentioned it at three-quarter time, that desire to have somebody fill the Christian Salem role.
Yeah.
And he is the perfect player for that because he gets in the right spots, uses it well with both feet. It's just a question of his defensive skills. But if you can keep him in the position that he's been in most often tonight, it works.
Back in the middle, Draper wins it down. McGrath fighting through the tackle. Hand pass to Durham. Hot hand pass to Caldwell. He's caught immediately, trying to hold it in. Now Oliver tackles him. The umpire a little more forgiving. Says ball up.
Just watch when that ball breaks. Brayshaw in particular just drops into the hole where Melbourne or Essendon are likely to come out of. They've just almost got it again.
Draper swats it down. Martin sockers it forward. Tomlinson and Perkins in a tangle, and Tomlinson shoved him out illegally, so Perkins takes the free. Short kick wide. Pickett got a deft touch on it. Knocks it free. Clever Durham whacks it back to Parrish. His kick smothered. They've turned it over. Hunt to Neil Bullen. Short kick to Fritsch. Back edge of the centre square for Melbourne.
He wants to move it quickly and he flicks it wide towards Gawn. Gawn had company in Laverty. Laverty slaps it down. Neil Bullen now. He's hustled. He's got to the contest. He's delivering on the bounce to Petrarca. On the outside of the right boot, he tries to dribble it through and be the magician that he has shown us before. It was a little like that grand final goal we saw in the West last year from the pocket, but he couldn't dribble it through on this occasion. Melbourne by 18 points.
Half-time in the showdown. Port Adelaide by 16 over Adelaide, so the power 9-7, Adelaide 7-3. As Essendon up to half-back. Heppel was heading down the northern side. He goes back to Cutler, and then Cutler measures his drop punt to Caldwell. Standing right on the boundary, northern side. He chips it to Heppel, misses him, live footy in front of the interchange, and Bowie in the other direction bumps Heppel out of play. And a throw in right beneath us, members' side.
Just a tired kick, one-step kick off Joe Caldwell there. 17 games into his career, realise you've got to get your technique right even when you're exhausted.
10 minutes to play in this. Essendon down by 18 points. So they have to kick at least 3 goals. There's a scrap on the wing after the boundary throw in. Spargo waits for it at the back. He gets it to Jordan. And then Jordan to Bowie. And Bowie delivers beautifully to half forward where Harms marks uncontested. He can move it quickly. His kick wasn't in the best direction for Petrarca. He had to wheel around and go back and get it. And Heppel was there to see it over.
So if a player like Brayshaw can get 17 marks, he's got an opponent. You just got to ask yourself, is he at the stoppage? Is he creating opportunities for his teammates further afield? Or is he getting locked in behind the ball? There's got to be questions asked about
boundary
that.
Throw in. It's punched down by Gawn. Under the pump here, the Bombers defenders. McGrath worked its way to Heppel, and then it comes to Caldwell. Long ball in the right direction. Oh, Jackson. How do you leap up over the top of 2 metre Peter? I don't know, but Luke Jackson just did it. Incredible stuff. He kicks backwards to Tomlinson to buy them some time and space. Might be a bit early to go keepings off. 9 minutes 50 left on the clock, but they've gone from one side to the other. And now it's Joel Smith. Penetrating kick. Looking for, couldn't quite get to McDonald. The umpires picked out a free kick against McDonald. And Stewart wins it.
Kicks out wide to Ridley. Sorry, Mick.
Well, there's just numbers. There's still a lot of numbers down there, but they've got nothing forward of the numbers, and that's where Melbourne just picked them off. Hands
it to Heppel, who kicks down the wing, and Perkins can't mark, but gets a free. Had his arms taken out. The short do this year after the long hair in year 1. He goes short to Cutler.
And that's exactly what Mick's talking about. Couldn't go at all because you've got maybe 8 players lining up looking for the lateral or backwards kick.
Cartler, long kick in the middle of the ground. McGrath backs into Durham, his teammate, but takes it in front of the centre circles, trying to hit up Stringer. There with Hunt. Hunt edges him under the footy, and Melbourne with numbers back. And here goes big Luke Jackson darting out of defence. The 1-2 handball missed him from Harms. Jackson back onto it, got it from Sparrow, gives it to Harms. Hand pass out to Hunt, and he feeds it to Jordan on the wing.
And Jordan delivers down the line. McDonald's on the end of it after a long lead. He's a long way from home. He's going to kick in the Petrarca direction. Petrarca tries to out-muscle his man. He couldn't get it, but Fritsch does. Wheels around and kicks the sealer. Bailey Fritsch, not for the first time, delivers the knockout blow on the big stage under the lights. Friday night footy at the MCG. And Melbourne, after getting out to an early 20-point lead, trail by 8 in the third quarter. And they've hit back in this final term to take a 24-point lead, 11-14-80, Essendon 8-8-56.
See, that's nice forward craft by Fritsch. He was an option to be kicked to and gave a really good lead presented, wasn't used, so straight away went to the feet of Petrarca, who provided a nice contest, got the perfect spot, crumbed it on the move, and then to finish like that is just provide an option, not to you, get to the next contest, front and square, finish your work. Brilliant forward craft.
And you leave your backline player in your wake.
Yeah.
4 in a row for the Demons. New game high. They are up by 24 now. Midway through the last as Gawn taps it down to Oliver. A little fumble. Caldwell kicks it away for Essendon to Guelphy. Hand pass to Shield. Feeds it forward to Perkins. 25 out. He snaps and goals. Close enough if good enough. 18 travelled in the last. A goal to Perkins. Melbourne 11-14-80. Essendon 9-8-62. 8 minutes left on the game clock. Melbourne by 3 goals.
Well, that's good play by Dylan Shield. Finally got it and actually moved the ball forward with a bit of power. I don't mean with pace, I just mean with power. We look at Petrarca, we look at Dusty Martin and players as such at Dangerfield who just have that power. And this is where a player built like he is, he has to use that. If you can't, it's not always going to be a perfect football. So make it work for you.
So the quick reply is exactly what the Bombers needed.
Good build, good pace, got the ball forward into the right hands and a goal.
Draper wins it out of the ruck to Shield. They need goals, they need them quickly. Thought about the handball, instead he goes with the kick. It was a good option because able to take the mark was Nick Martin. From centre half forward, he goes wide, and wider still. Durham thought he'd taken the mark, and then he had pressure from Harms. He dropped it in the end. Joel Smith with his head over the ball. Smith handballs back, and the kick smothered. The kick off the boot of Bowie, and Parrish with the 1%ers.
Well done, Darcy Parrish. He's the one who kicked it to Durham, who spilt the mark he should have taken, but didn't give up on it. Followed up one contest on Smith, then again with the smother, and got it over the boundary line.
60 around from Essendon's goal. Gawn in front position. Durham at the bottom of the pack. Flicks it out. Here's a chance for Nick Martin. Back in the centre it goes. Shields there. Now Ridley. He's got a player on loose and he gets there. He's able to kick it all the way to Hind. His disposal by foot hasn't been great tonight. That is spot on. Peter Wright marks in the right forward pocket. And Peter Wright's lining up for his 4th goal.
I've really liked his work rate, Cal. I know I've said it a few times now, but he provided a couple of options there as it was being transferred play, and then he worked really hard into that space. It's been impressive.
Surely they couldn't get it back to 12-point margin. Right, 45-degree angle. It's curling back. Surely they can. Peter Wright with his 4th. And the Never Say Die Bombers have fired up again late. The margin is 12 points. There's 6 minutes to play. Melbourne leads 11-14-80. Essendon 10-8-68.
He's kicked 9 goals for the year. From a player that was really Essendon wondered about, and Gold Coast wondered about. And you're spot on, Lingy. His work ethic has got him the goals. It's not because he's 2 foot 2 metre, Peter. It's because of his work ethic and his positioning and his multiple leads or multiple efforts to get where the ball's going to be.
It's a different way that he's playing now compared. Last year he kicked a bag. I think was it North Melbourne? He kicked a big bag against.
Yeah, he had a big day on Anzac Day as well.
Yeah, that was just a big stand up. I'm tall and everyone. I'll mark the footy. This is a different way of doing it. A much more sustainable way of doing it.
I think it was 7 against the Bulldogs at Docklands.
Yes, that's the one.
An afternoon out at Essendon, going forward out of the middle. A rare centre break. Shield to McGrath. Hand pass to Heppel. Misses Cutler, but he's good enough to collect on the bounce. Turns, heads inside 50. Wright's got it again. The juggle mark for Peter Wright, who is threatening to tear this game apart.
Well, he's certainly giving May a real touch-up because he doesn't stop moving. I think, and there's no fall-off player now that can take his lead. He's just coming from all angles. I'm just watching him here. May's got him and virtually pushes him into the football.
Peter Wright on the set shot. He whacks his hand as it goes through for a minor score. Just his second miss of the year. He's 9 goals 2. He's got 4 for the night. 3 of them have come in the second half. Melbourne's lead cut to 11. 22 travelled final term.
This is some nervy final moments here for the D's. They've won 9 in a row. It dates back, Corbin, to about round 20 last year. Bowie and the team has played 9 games for 9 wins. He's never been involved in a loss. So the margin 11 points. And the D's work it on the outer side, and there's a tangle of arms and legs, and the umpire will ball it up on the outer wing.
It's not that. He's got 2 Rising Star nominees, a premiership and no losses in 9 games of senior footy.
Retire!
Footy's pretty easy.
So, big ball up on the outer side. Oliver's there. Handball to Langdon, but then can't get it cleanly to Gawn, and the boundary line was beckoning.
Let's look at the player behind the ball. So, Melbourne must have the player. Yes, they have. They've got the player extra at the stoppage. You've got to make it work for you here. Run the ball out of the stoppage.
44,503 in the house. Melbourne by 11 points. 5 minutes to go. Boundary throw in, and the quick kick has been picked off by Brayshaw, who's racked up those disposals tonight and those marks. He goes wide with the short kick and hits up Bowie, Lingy.
That's 18. That's 19 marks. 19 marks is pretty impressive.
Oh. Got it right up against the outer wing. He wheels around. He wants to go long. He's kicking to a pack. Gawn's there. No one can take it in the air. Quick hurried kick came out of the pack off the D's. Here's Harms right up against the boundary line. Gives it to Spargo, who gives it back to Langdon, who just throws it goalward. That is a miracle goal. He can't believe it. He might have just kicked the contender for goal of the year. Langdon, right up against the boundary line, just threw it on the boot. And it spun and it spun and it spun through for a major. And even the great Christian Petrarca, with his hands on his head, came up to Ed Langdon and said, "How in the world did you do that?"
Well, we're still sitting there wondering.
I'm just watching the replay. I still don't know how it went through.
Margin is now 17 points. That makes it almost impossible for the Bombers. So Spargo with the handball, and Langdon, he had Bombers either side.
That's a reverse banana.
Yeah.
A reverse banana on the outside of the right boot from the boundary line in the left forward pocket at the city end. That is extraordinary.
Well, he could do that again. He could have 100 shots of training without anyone on him. He could do that.
And do you know the reaction he had? He had Jason Ackermanis' reaction at the Gabba that time. When he put his hands to his head and his jaw dropped to the ground.
17 points, Melbourne's lead. Time on, final term, final 5 minutes on the game clock. Shield, first disposal in the centre. Hand pass to Heppel. Kicks a flower bag out towards Bowie. Took it one-handed. It was touched on the way through. He's dispossessed in the tackle from Ham. Guelphy kicks it inside 50. Gawn can't mark. Follows up at ground level. Whacks it out to Brayshaw off the back flank. Chips it down the line for Melbourne, and Jordan takes the mark. Great follow-up from Big Max in the defensive 50. 26 gone final term. D's by 17. Jordan turns it over with a long kick, and Redmond takes the intercept mark. Looks in the middle of the ground. Pickett lays the tackle, affects the kick. Spills to Jackson. He's lost it in the Redmond tackle. Petrarca onto it. Hand pass on the outskirts of the stoppage. Finds Viney. Vacant goal square. Kicks it deep. French is up. Can't take the one-hander. Snaps it through anyway. Kills it off as a game. 26 gone in the last. And Melbourne now by 23. 13-14-92. Essendon 10-9, 69. 26 travelled final term.
I think I might have shortchanged Angus Brayshaw before, Cal. He is up to 20 marks, and his ball use off half-back has been excellent.
83%.
24 kicks going at 83%. He's filled that Christian Salem role beautifully. He's had 7 score involvements as well. Sheer weight of numbers, Mick, inside 50s for the game, 62 to 37. So Essendon, to their credit, have been really efficient when they've gone forward, but just haven't generated enough of it. And now Melbourne is getting all the reward, and that's what they can do when you're such a good team. Just flex your muscles when you need to.
700 metres too, Lingy, they've covered. That is that thing that we talk about. You know, how far does the side run the football or use the football? 700 metres against your opponents in a day. It's massive, really.
So centre bounce, McGrath, a Stringer. Stringer with a cameo in that third term. He kicked back-to-back goals to help them get back in the contest, but not sided in that opening half. His kick inside 50 is going to dribble over the boundary line, so they'll reset for a stoppage here.
I think there's been some good signs by both teams. We know Melbourne, how good Melbourne are, but I think there's been some good signs by Essendon too. Given the first quarter and a half, they've just looked dreadful, but they've been able to wrestle a bit of the authority back in their game.
Draper tried to slap it out of the ruck in the end. He picked it up again and he threw it on his boot to the goal square. And right in a tussle with May this time. It's May that wins out. He slaps it over the goal line. So Stephen May on the kick-in duties with 3 minutes to play. It's Melbourne by 22.
Finds Bowie in the back pocket. Became just the second player during the week to get a Rising Star nom after winning a premiership. Which is quite remarkable. I think we haven't had more of those, I guess, in the history of the award as Bowie kicks out to half-back. Harms is there for the Demons to Gawn. Hands it out to Petrarca. Back to Harms. Hand pass to Langdon. He gives it back to Harms. It's his fourth touch in the chain. He goes short to Langdon.
Oh, you know what that was, Corbs? You just have a little touch each ball.
Pad my stats a little bit.
Yeah, a couple of mates, I reckon, just looking at each other, giving a little wink.
Langdon's kick, and the ball whacked away by Ham, so out of bounds. And that southern wing. The other player, mind you, was Richard Hadley from the Brisbane Lions, who got a Rising Star nom the following year, still eligible after winning a first premiership with the Lions. From the boundary throw-in, Perkins kicks it out of congestion to Shield, who's all alone on the wing. Takes the mark and feeds a hand pass on to Parrish. Parrish down to half forward. Backing back Peter Wright, slips past him, and Joel Smith, as he collects, runs out of room. So a throw in forward pocket for the Dons.
I was just going to say something about Langdon's goal. He's kicked the goal. He's had 5 kicks this quarter, going efficiency rate of 20%. So that might just tell you that was maybe a fluke. I'm not suggesting that it was totally, but when you're going at 20%...
I'm guessing by their reaction it was a fluke as well, Mick. Special comments Friday night. Part of the grandstand team, Mick Moldhouse. We love his work as the Demons send it inside 50. Jordan's kick went over the head of the intended target, Wiedemann, who came in for Ben Brown tonight. He's kicked 3 goals too. He missed some terrible set shots directly in front, but was able to nail a couple of tight ones from the boundary. So the big debate during the week will be whether he keeps his place in this team as Jackson mops up, gives it off to Oliver, unselfish leader Wiedemann, and Wiedemann's got 4. Sam Wiedemann, 4 for the Knights. D's fans will be happy. Ben Brown feeling a little nervy watching on the couch in isolation tonight. But it's Melbourne by 28 points. 14-98, Essendon 10-70. We've just hit the 30-minute mark in the final term. Serious question for Simon Goodwin. 4 goals enough to retain your place in the team Thursday night, Port Adelaide?
I don't know if you've chosen the right person to be nervous, Cal. Is Tom McDonald standing out there more nervous?
Bring Ben Brown, you go with it. They've tried the 2 before, haven't they?
4 goals is not... It's 4 goals 2, 4 goals 3. He's missed a couple of sitters. His ability and his agility around the ground is quite extraordinary compared to Brown. Brown I've been a big fan of Brown. I think he's great. He's got better and better as he's learnt Melbourne way. But having said that, you don't have to just lock it into Brown. I agree with Lingy. The thing about McDonald, though, he can go back and play as a key back, depending on Lever now coming back in the side.
Yes.
Tees by 28, a new game high. Gawn gets a free in the centre square to Oliver, who's been all alone all night, and then hits up Bailey Fritsch out on the lead, and he marks at centre half forward.
Corbs, you could not have said that any better. I think somebody needs to ask the Essendon players, have they watched Clayton Oliver play for the last couple of years? They realise his quality. He's had 37 disposals. He's had 8 clearances, 14 inside 50s, 8 score involvements, and has not had anyone near him for the night.
And 600.5 metres.
Bailey Fritsch, the sharpshooter, his set shot, he tugs it to the right and misses. So Melbourne by 29. Sam Wiedemann, by the way, his bag of 4, that's a career best. He did kick 3, Lingy. I don't know if you remember the 2018 elimination final against the Cats. That was probably his previous best night out in front of the sticks.
So Bombers bring it back into play. They trail now by 29 points. Gawn with the intercept, takes off on the broadcast swing, handballs over to Harms. Is there a late one here? Oliver, what's he up to now, Lingy?
That'll be 38.
Oliver delivers inside 50, and the first time he can't hit a target for just about the entire night. Kelly picks it off, and the Bombers are going to wind down the clock here. The Bombers are brave. There was a cutback built on half, but they're going to be anchored on the bottom of the ladder tonight at 0-3. And for the D's, it's the perfect 10. They've won 10 consecutive games. The reigning premier jumped to top of the ladder.
Gold flag, it's a high-flying flag. It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
So the goal kickers tonight, it was Wiedemann, the late inclusion. He finished with 4 goals too, a couple for Fritsch, Spargo and also Harms. And up the other end for the Bombers, it was all about Peter Wright. He finished with 4 goals, 1 and a couple for Jake Stringer. The final score 14-15-99, Essendon 10-10 70. Melbourne undefeated, the reigning champs in 2022.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag. It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
We had 5 2-0 teams left coming into round 3 of the premiership season. We've got 4 left at 3 and zip. Melbourne are one of those, while we had 5 teams at 0 and 2. And unfortunately, we have 4 winless teams left in the competition, and Essendon are one of those. They're 0 and 3. Their worst start to a season since 1967. A pulsating second half, 4 lead changes in the third quarter alone, and in the end, Melbourne flexed when they needed to. To ward off the Bombers, they win by 29 in front of 44,503. Second half action from the showdown is coming up shortly. Port Adelaide leaders there by 22 points. You'll hear it on ABC Radio momentarily. We got a bit of time to wrap some things up here at the G. Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling, the D's home by 29.
Scrappy and ugly at times, brave at times by Essendon. A weird sort of game, Mick, but it felt like just the cream of the Demons rose to the top when it needed to. When things were challenged, Max Gawn stood up a couple of times. Clayton Oliver was superb for the entire night, despite, still can't believe Essendon put 0 time into him. Angus Brayshaw's composure and good ball use and 34 disposals and 20 marks off half-back was just calming. Petrarca was just okay tonight, so that's a good sign they can win without him. They just did enough, which I think when you're the reigning champs, you've started the season off well, you've come out and kind of gone bang-bang in your first two, it's okay to have a bit of an ugly-ish win. Just keep winning, keep locking them away. You don't have to be perfect all the time.
Well, it's never going to happen, is it? The perfect game. And believe me, Lingy, and probably you know, well, you would know this too, the expectations grow with every game you go out on the ground. Oh, we're going to get better, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I didn't think Melbourne played particularly well against Gold Coast, and I don't know whether Gold Coast let them play well, but they won the game. They dominated this game for a quarter and a half, the first quarter and a half, and all of a sudden Essendon went bang, 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 and we say Essendon actually got in front into the third quarter, and you think, well, how does that happen? But a good side will respond. It's an amazing figure. There's a few figures that I believe heavily in. One is yardage or meterage that you gain against your opposition. That was dominant. 6-2 to 5-5. That's 700 metres over the game. The second one is, contested football is very important. Inside 50s is a little bit of a, it's 66 to 39. 66 could have ended up 50 metres out on the 50-metre line, but no. Melbourne's 66, a lot of them were in very, very good position. They found targets. They were on the run through the middle. They just didn't score well. And let's say this game at half-time could have been well and truly over because of the shots on goal. But full credit to Essendon being able to fight back. But there's a couple of ones. Interesting enough, I think, I'm just going on gut feel here, but I reckon that the stoppages may well have gone to Essendon. The clearances, rather, would...
Yes,
39-32. But the theory on that is, it's all very well to get a stoppage clearance. It's what you do with it. It's where it ends up. Are you in the right position? Well, clearly they weren't, because Brayshaw's probably intercepted maybe 6 or 7 of those just cleanly from stoppages. Now, you asked the question, if you're going to allow a player to sit off, if you're going to have an extra one at the stoppage, who's sitting off and who's sitting on the player who's sitting off? In this case, Brayshaw just sat in the spot where anything that dribbled out of the stoppage, he took, and you might as well say he was actually responsible for the clearance, because then he was able to manufacture the next bit of the play. But I know I said Essendon win the premiership, but it was a long way back coming from that one. But I just Dylan Shields got to get harder, and he's got to make better decisions with the football. Heppel gave away the goal at the end with his kick across ground. Hind doesn't kick the ball well. Ridley's good. Martin's okay, young player. McGrath's not doing enough. Cordwell, a lot said about him, but got to get more from him. Leveque's okay. Stringer picks and chooses, but he's good when he's good. So you've got to say, where do they get better? Well, the whole side has to be more unified the way they approach it. Stoppage is going to be harder, and then when you do break from a stoppage, got to have something in front of you, not just Peter Wright.
Size is becoming a concern for them down back, isn't it?
Yeah.
The big forward lines just look so threatening, and at times they gave away free kicks or marks to other players because they were so fixated on the big players down there. Now, Luke Jackson didn't take a heap of marks or anything like that, but his size and presence down there caused some headaches. Sam Wiedemann was able to float across in front of the pack and take the mark. So Jordan Ridley, as good a player as he is, you're noticing the absence of a Michael Hurley. That really big, and I'm talking, and Hurley's, like that sort of ability to play on a big beast of a player
with a body, where it's all body.
Yeah, and not be so fixated that you're worried and you're just wrapping your arms around him. So that's becoming a bit of an issue for the Bombers.
Yeah. Key back and a key forward, it sort of feels like one at each end. They do have Zach Reid playing in the VFL. He's a young guy. They picked top 10 in the draft start of last year, so perhaps one for future years. The D's home by 29. Tim Hodges is in the winning rooms.
It's very subdued down here, Corbin.
sounds quiet.
They are coming towards you.
It's probably quiet. It's very cold, probably, mate. You see how cold it was. They might be just freezing.
It was very cold, Nick. Here they are.
They're freezing. Oh, you can tell. We watched on TV. Timmy, they're frozen. You can see it.
Max was the only one. Max Gorn led the Demons in, and he was the only one who started the applause. And he's actually got into the staff as well to say make some noise. Yeah, I think it's a strange feeling down here. They realise they haven't played particularly well, but they've still got the 4 points. They still get to sing the song. And here it is, guys. Yeah, Max was the absolute cheerleader and the captain and leading the song in that rendition. The Demons have been called straight into... this is a really weird vibe down here for a winning team. They've been called straight in to meet with the coach. We will get you a player. Hopefully it's not too far away, but Mick can probably tell you more of what's likely to happen in there. I don't think the coach is particularly happy, and we knew that from just before half-time.
How quickly they forget. Remember those years they were playing for priority picks and sort of winning less than a handful of games, and now all of a sudden they've won 10 in a row, they're 3-0, and they just...
And they're not happy?
It's like they do it every day of the week. They go out there and win.
They've got the old Cats about them. I remember going into the Cats winning room and, they won 17 in a row and it'd be...
You have to hum the song. Yep.
Yeah.
There's times you hold yourself to your own standard. I think that's the thing, that now they've become good and they know they've become good. When you've played and performed below the standard you expect of yourself, the scoreboard doesn't matter and you can still be feeling like it was a disappointing performance by your team.
Cameron Ling, did you ever feel like after a win not singing the song?
No, certainly never that point. But you would go through the motions of the song. You would say, okay, we played and we won because we were a more talented team than the other team that we played, but we didn't adhere to the things we really value ourselves on.
I think the Essendon team of 2000, as you can tell, I'm an Essendon supporter. I have to go that far back now into my memory for some happy memories. But they actually put the song away. Obviously, they had that ridiculous season where they only lost one game, and they didn't sing the song until after the grand final.
Is that right?
They decided that they weren't going to sing it back end of the year. And the first time they sung it was actually on the ground, sort of 10 minutes after the final siren went, which you don't often see teams sing it on the ground.
And was that because of the follow-on from the 99?
I think that was part of it. And the way that they started, because they were sort of blitzing the competition, they thought, look, let's save this as something special if we get what we're ultimately chasing rather than just after every win.
Just for a quick one, there was 40,000 here tonight, the D's fans that are making their way to their car. I hope they pack the sleeping bags. Just sleep in the back of the car tonight. Tomorrow there's history here at the MCG at 12:40. The Demons, so a huge 24 hours for the club. The Demons, led by Daisy Pearce, it might be her last or possibly second to last AFLW game. The icon that she's been for the women's game or for Aussie rules in general, play a prelim against the Brisbane Lions here tomorrow. Entry is free. It's the first ever game, Lingy, the first ever in 6 years, 6 seasons of the AFLW competition that's been played at the MCG.
It's incredible, isn't it? And it'll be a great moment. What's your feel on the crowd? I know it's hard to get a gauge when entry's free, but what are you expecting turns up?
I would hope that I'd love to see somewhere, but I would love to see up to 30,000. But I think I'm hopeful. Look, it's a lovely day. It depended on how much they promoted it this week. Obviously, the worst case scenario is to go head-to-head with the men's. But given what happened with COVID and the dramas that the women's season and putting off, rounds here and games here, they've actually had to clash with the men's season. So if it had that standalone, women's cricket got the world record, which was about 86,000 here. I would have liked to have seen a bit more heavy promotion during the week. But for people to understand, this could be Daisy Pearce's last game. The Melbourne team's fantastic, led by the biggest name in the league, Taylor Harris, to play against Craig Starcevic's Brisbane Lions, the reigning champs, here tomorrow on a sunny afternoon. Get down, free through the gates, Mick. You should bring the grandkids along. It's going to be a great occasion.
Kel, just on crowds, I've got to ask this question. It was going to be 50,000 here last night. What night was the Shane Warne thing? Was it 2 nights ago?
Yeah.
It's going to be 50,000. And we want more here. 24,000? Today, we've got a Melbourne great side playing an Essendon who aim to make the 8. And what did you say it was?
40.
40. That's 20 short of what I would suspect. I think the crowds just seem to be... There was a massive crowd in Barcelona.
Yes, for the women's.
For the It was 92,000 Barcelona playing Madrid in a game of soccer, which was the second leg, 92,000. Is it just me, or are people still nervous about coming out? And there's two effects. One, there's certainly a nervousness about some people. Two is, have we got into a rut whereby for the 2 years it's easier to watch it on TV or have other things on our mind than to actually attend the game? Because I'm just seeing the league was going to massacre the first round, but it was well
so
short.
I think it's COVID hesitancy.
Yeah.
People are in isolation. Also, overseas in Europe, I had a friend that went to America recently and said it's not even mentioned. COVID isn't a thing. It's just a cold or a flu, and so we're still catching up, obviously. And I think tickets are difficult still to buy. There's an issue with the system and trying to get tickets
mobile
together.
memberships and all that sort of stuff.
Well, you hear that. Actually, I heard that. Sorry, I heard that during the week that people are going, if I can't get, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Or I'm driving in here. Guess what? I can't get a park. I'm turning and going home.
Stephen May is waiting for us. Melbourne by 29 points over Essendon. 5 lead changes in the night. He's with Tim Hodges.
Thank you, Corbin. Appreciate you coming over, Stephen, straight out of the rooms. Can I ask you what the vibe was like in there? Are you a happy bunch, or is it a bit sort of we weren't at our best tonight, but we still got the 4 points, tick the box, and move on?
Yeah, we're definitely happy to get the win, but I probably usually we get judged on how we play, and I just think we all thought that we didn't play the Melbourne way for most of the game. We were easy to score against at times, and we started playing into Essendon's hands, playing quick footy. That's how they play. They're a very exciting team, and that's not really how we play, and we got sucked into that a bit and conceded a few scores from it. So, I mean, we're happy we won. There was a bit of fun at the end there. Choco checked the showdown scores. Him and Goody have a bit of a rivalry, so that was what the boys were laughing at. But happy to get the win. There was a few selfless acts tonight, which we spoke about. Jack Viney helping out on Parrish, and Christian Petrarca standing in their hit zone and trying to help us out a bit. So, he's been dominating this season, but Clary's the one who got off the chain tonight. So, Goody's just forever rewarding the guys who do the team thing.
Thank goodness for the showdown. Got the only roar from in the coach's room. What about half-time? I was on the boundary and saw how angry Simon Goodwin, he was filthy just at the end of that quarter. Did you cop a bit of a rocket as a team at half-time?
No, we didn't. We came in, we had a goal before the game, a few KPIs, and we walked in and he asked us how we're going, and we're all pretty flat, like frustrated because we weren't playing the right way, and he actually got us up a bit. He thought we were moping around too much, so... we were doing 90% right, and then the last 10% just weren't finishing off our work, obviously, with the kicking, but just simple, skills. So we come in feeling pretty flat because we have such high expectations of how we play each week, but sometimes teams are going to get on a run, and they certainly did in the second quarter. So he was actually really good. Goody's got a really good gauge on how the group's going and when we need a whack and when we need a bit of love. So he's a really good coach in that sense.
I'll send you upstairs. We've got Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse. Hopefully you can put a smile on Stephen May's face and cheer him up a bit.
Steve, well, congratulations on the win. Well done on the start of the year as well. Just interested in your point about your midfielders there when you're talking about the jobs that Petrarca did and Jack Viney did, and Oliver gets the opportunity to dominate tonight. Do you guys talk about that as a group, that it will be your turn to be the star player, provided you do what the team needs of you in perhaps a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll get your chance?
Yeah, I certainly think they'd talk about that in the midfield, but, for example, I think Track had 40 touches last week and a couple goals, and he didn't even get a mention in the post-game. It was more about Neil Bullen and Charlie Spargo, who had certain roles against the Suns. So Goody likes to reward the players, and I think... we got a really good young group, and you give someone a pump up, and the other guys want to follow suit, and they want that pump up, and the pump ups come in the selfless acts. So, someone kicks 5 goals, and Goody doesn't really talk about it, but Charlie Spargo applies 10 forward half tackles, and he's the one who's getting everyone's talking about after the game. So it's a nice way, everyone. It's a team game, and we have so many star midfielders and good players all over the ground. So I think that it's good. You know, the media certainly give the love to the players who play well, but inside the four walls, we really value the guys who probably don't get noticed as much.
What about inside the four walls as well, about the balance between security in your position in the team versus creating some competitive tension for spots? And I'm probably specifically talking about Tom McDonald up forward, Sam Wiedemann tonight, who got the opportunity and kicked 4 goals 3, and Ben Brown, who misses out. It's probably only 2 out of those 3 play. So you want them competing for the spots, but balancing that with a bit of security.
Yeah, no, it's certainly been a tough ask, and I think you look at the players who missed out in the grand final last year, who all played roles throughout the year and were unlucky, simply put. Those big forwards, it's always been a case of who wants to take their opportunity, and last year I think Benny Brown probably took it when he came in the second time. He goes out with COVID reasons, and now Sam Wiedemann, who's been chomping at the bit. He has been trying. He's been dominating training, playing really well in the VFL, but you can't break in if the team's functioning. And so he got his chance tonight, and all the boys are pretty stoked for Sam because of how hard he's worked over the pre-season and to get some reward for launching, taking marks, and kicking some goals. But thinking just to your question, it's so important to have that competitiveness for spots. I think that's what drives a really good side. You got one eye on who we're playing next week, and I'd be lying if few players wouldn't be checking the VFL results to see how other players are playing. But I think it's just healthy competition.
Stephen, congratulations on the way you've been able to rebound as a football club, and particularly the way you've played. You've had a fantastic career, I guess, at Melbourne Premiership, and cemented as one of the best key backs in the competition. Just a couple of things. Andrew Brayshaw, he's now a member of Angus Brayshaw. You're now a member of that. He's now a member of that back line. Has he got a special role where he's able to drop off? Look, I don't know if you're aware how many marks he took tonight.
No, how many did he have?
How many do you reckon?
Probably 8?
How about 20?
20?
Have you taken 20 in a year?
No. How many of those were intercepts?
Well, we're going to...
I've got the record. I'm worried about him coming.
He had the 8 intercept possessions or intercept marks.
So what's the record then,
11.
Stephen?
11. There's 4. Four of us all hold it. So I'm waiting for someone to break it.
Oh, no, you're not. You want to? I can tell you want to keep that. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. No, but has he got a role where he's able to... Look, Jake Legal's not out there. He's an intercept marker. He's an intercept player. But he just seems to have had a role today where he's able to sit off the pack at the right edge. The football out of the pack goes 30 metres. He was there by himself. Has he been instructed to get there? Is he taking a place from someone? Is he going to get back on the wing? What do you think?
I'm actually, he's been thrown down the back line through circumstance. We needed a high half back and someone who can play the game. And he's such a coachable guy. He's very knowledgeable He's slotted in seamlessly, and he's got great skills. And I didn't know about how good his marking was, but tonight it was on show. It was more a case of how Essendon played. When we started getting on top of the stoppages, they sent 2 midfielders, 2 forwards up to the stoppage. So we didn't want to have too many guys up there, and we just dropped him back a bit. Our mids, thankfully, were able to put a lot of pressure on. They had to do these little dump kicks out, and Gussie's the one in the hole. So, and he's so good. Like I positioned him where I wanted him, and he just listens. He does exactly as you ask, and he got on the end of it tonight. And I think last week we sort of used Jake Bowie in that role, and I'm pretty sure I think he had like 15 interception possessions last week. So it's more of just who they go to, and we'll just drop the other player back.
Don't pump up his marking too much. I reckon there was a lot of uncontested marks in that one there, Steve. Not like your contested mark.
Oh, look, I was just intrigued with that comment you made. You told him where to get. I mean, so technically speaking, those 20 are probably yours.
Oh, that's what I like to think. I don't know. He's the one on the score, but no, he's I usually have Jakey Lever there who plays that role, and he reads the ball as good as anyone. So there's not so much. But Gussie, I'm not joking. Every stoppage, he'd turn back and said, "Am I happy? Are you happy here? Are you happy here?" Like, it gets annoying, but that's how diligent he is, and that's how much he wants to do his role. And he was an inside mid, and he got thrown to the wing, and now he's playing half back. No matter where he plays 100% and gives it his all, and never drops his lip. And he's a great teammate.
Stephen, enjoy the good times. We'll see you on Thursday night in Adelaide.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Port Adelaide on Thursday next week for the D's. Meanwhile, the other team that's playing on Friday night, Essendon and Adelaide, will play one another. It's the 1 o'clock game next Sunday, so a longer break for those two teams. Lingy, the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. We're off to Adelaide for the showdown in a few moments.
Well, I will give one vote to the man we were just talking about, Angus Brayshaw. You've got to do that when you get 20 marks. But he was creative. His ball use was good, creative. I know he got caught out twice on stringer and had 2 goals in that third term. But apart from that, he was excellent. 2 votes I'm going to give to Maxi Gawn. I just thought when the moments mattered, Gawn was the one who stood up, whether it was in a ruck contest, whether it was a mark, whether it was following up at ground level. I just think his influence is massive. And, of course, 3 votes to the man we raved about all night. 38 disposals, 18 of those contested, 8 clearances, 15 inside 50s, 9 score involvements. Clayton Oliver was comfortably best on ground, Corbs.
They're the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. A couple of minutes before we're off to the showdown, quickly in the Sunday games, the teams are through. Jack Rewalt misses a second week with his fractured thumb. Dylan Grimes is back for Richmond. Jack Hayes for St Kilda keeps his place despite Ryder and Marshall both being named. So they're going big St Kilda in that game against the Tigers on Sunday. Ben McAvoy has a fractured neck and he's out for months.
At a training mishap.
Yeah. So that is a big blow for the Hawks. Adam Chera has a back injury. Adam Chera is back from COVID protocols.
You just frightened Carlton people there, Corbs.
Adam Chera is back. I mean, he's playing. That's why I've got back written there. Jack Martin still hasn't returned from the COVID protocols, and we're waiting for the Freo and West Coast teams, which will be named tomorrow. Adam Simpson forecasting another 10 to 15 changes after making 14 last week. Rioli, Shuey, Jack Williams, Bailey Williams and Liam Duggan, the latest 5 to be forced into the COVID protocols. The AFLW tomorrow, we will have both games on ABC Radio across the country. So the first game here from the G, Melbourne and the Brisbane Lions in a prelim. Following that, it'll be Adelaide and Fremantle. And then the AFL action thereafter, starting with the Giants and the Suns.
We're still mates, me?
Oh, of course we are, Kel.
And you didn't just tip Essendon and win the flag, you tipped Port out of the 8. Mm-hmm. There's a massive final term coming up for Ken Hinkley. Porter in front, but the Crows are coming fast. And if Port win this one, they might just run Ken Hinkley out of town. 0-3 and a loss to the Crows. Can you imagine?
I would. Don't do that to my friend Kenny.
I
love Kenny. I adore Kenny.
In South Australia, 2 teams, and expectations are always high.
Huge hour coming up for Ken Hinkley.
I know. I think the same's going to happen in West Australia too. Is that Sunday? That's a Sunday game.
Yep.
We'll see you all down the highway, Lingy, down in your neck of the woods next Friday night. That's
Cats
a
Lions.
Friday night game for the
You
Cats
cooking dinner?
and the Lions.
It won't be as good as Nanette's soup.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Oh, actually, sorry. My wife probably will be disappointed I just said that.
Oh, Lingy, you won't be going home tonight.
Just stay in Melbourne. Don't bother driving home.
We got to get to Adelaide. Thanks, crew. Melbourne by 29 points over Essendon, the first leg of the Friday night doubleheader, to the showdown in Adelaide.
A warm welcome to our listeners from the MCG. Adelaide have gone inside attacking 50 and from an outstanding angle. Jeez, that's socked off the deck by Lockie Murphy, but he just couldn't make it work across the ground. Minor score for the Crows. For those just joining us, a 13-point lead to the Power. And it is time on in the third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
So Bonner to bring the ball back in for the Power. Goes out to the eastern side of the Adelaide Oval. Ball towards the boundary line off the pack will get a throw in. Story of the match, Port Adelaide by 19 points at quarter time, by 16 at half time. They were up by as much as 23 in this third quarter. Adelaide has pinned them